Remix. 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 Remix.
What it do, niggas?
Good morning. How you doing today?
I'm fine. Was that a squeaky toy I heard in the back?
No, but that would be good for stress if I had one. What you got
You think
here?
so?
I think
And
so.
how stressed out do you be, Lori?
I'm not usually stressed, but I will say one technique I've seen at when we've had the B&B, like organizing kind of seminars or retreats or whatever you want to call them, is they know our brothers with ADHD and sisters exist. And so we've brought like squeeze balls and coloring books and
I love
slinkies
a
and all
coloring
sorts of
book.
stuff.
I
Yep,
literally
yep,
take
yep.
my coloring. I have an adult coloring book that my boss actually bought me. She was like, "What you want for Christmas?" And I sent her a link for a coloring book. She said, "You sure you want this?" I was like, "Yeah." And I've been
hmm
coloring in that junk for like 6 months. It's so much fun.
They bought a Pokemon one last time, and I was using it. It's good.
It's good for you. I agree. And I also feel like sometimes, even though people don't want to admit it, when you don't use certain skills, like they do go away. Like you can't color in the lines no more. You got kids and y'all all coloring ugly.
I completely agree.
I be like, being able to color inside the lines and read books is basic stuff. Actually, you might need to practice that.
Yeah, or even pick the right colors because I be seeing people. It's like they see the
Yeah,
picture and then the color they pick. And I understand being creative, but sometimes I'm like, "Now you were
they
trying,
doing a
and
bit
that is
much.
just that's not the right color. That was incorrect." Um, I think we have a good sign. I just saw this, and our brother Geechee has joined us. But
Yay!
as America comes up on that 250 years of genocide, we got John Brown Soul joining Black Liberation Media as a YouTube member. That's a very good omen.
It
I like
is.
that a lot. Um, good morning, brother Jamil. Assalamu alaikum. Please keep your brother in prayers today. Join the nation, final rights for our beloved mother Khadija Farrakhan.
Period.
Absolutely. Peace. KJ Sakuma, Chidi Makas, Omega, everyone, the infamous chat, and those who are not joining us from the chat, but do listen in, because I know y'all are out there. So I want to say what's up to y'all too. Morning, Gishi. How you doing?
What's up? How y'all feeling?
I'm doing good. You got your hair down today? Who you feeling like?
What you mean? Who I'm feeling like?
You ever heard that? Oh my god, you
Listen,
get some oh.
hey, listen. The genocide started 1,000 years because that's why I ain't like that neither. I walk up and I was like, "What Lord talking about misinformation today? Them niggas been fucking up stuff for thousands and thousands of years."
1,000?
But
I thought 500 or so, but yeah.
Leif Erikson been over
Yeah.
there, dumb shit.
If we do it again, leave Erickson.
All them niggas get
I
hit.
thought it was 500 too because somebody was asking me about it, and I was like, I need to get some. Actually, Geechee, you should send me some articles or something about it because Dr. Toure was talking to me about He was like, yeah, it's really Africa 500 because we've been over here 500 years.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, I thought it was 407, and I was like, somebody send me some educational material because these people don't believe shit.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
said like
close to it.
530
Yeah.
years, but over before the first time they came over there, anytime when they come over there, when the minute
They
they
had
over
slaves with them.
no I'm saying the minute they come over there, because remember they didn't come with aggression on Africans, they came with like learning and whatever. So but their psyche had always European expansionism. So when the minute they make contact with you is when the damn genocide attempt starts. So why
Okay. So does that mean you're gonna send me an article or some reference material or?
I got you.
yeah.
Thank you so
The
much.
earliest one not the earliest, one of the earliest I know about is the uprising of Black and indigenous people in what is now Spanish Florida, and that was in 1526. So that would from 1526 to 2026 would be exactly 500. But I know that there were native folks who were enslaved a little earlier than that, and then they had already started practicing uh, colonialism and slavery on the continent, like Portugal had in Congo in the late 1400s. So as Geechee said, they went over as missionaries, but they were also directly kidnapping people. And Sylvia Wynter talks about this in one of my favorite works by her. Also, probably one of the most accessible, because some of her writing can be a little dense to get through. But it's called "Do Not Call Us Negroes," and I love it because Sylvia Wynter, for those who aren't familiar, the Jamaican novelist, also like political theorist. I think she wrote plays as well. I could be mistaken, but she did a survey of American history courses, textbooks, specifically for the state of California. And when she was doing it, she was just talking about how this multiracial narrative that they tell you, where everybody is just a nation of immigrants. She calls it liberal multiculturalism and talks about why it doesn't work. And she explains that Native Americans and, of course, New Africans break the entire narrative, right? Because it was settlers, it was natives, it was New Africans, essentially. And so in that, she talks about Congo and how they went to Congo. They were missionaries. They kidnapped Congolese, of course, people, including children, and I believe a prince or someone who was nobility, brought him to Portugal, forcibly converted him to Christianity, and then dropped him back off in Congo and had him forcibly convert his people. So yeah, definitely, as far as the Americas are concerned, at least 500. But as far as Africa is concerned, even a little earlier than that. So that's a great book. I'll pull it up if I
I
can
have
find
additional
it,
questions.
and I'll send it to you. Go ahead.
Americas, they brought him to Portugal, and that's considered the Americas?
No. I was saying that they had already started practicing slavery and invasion and colonialism in
Oh,
Africa
yeah.
in the late 1400s. But as far as coming to the New World or the Americas, I got to see what the earliest is. But the earliest I've read is like 15 something.
In order to name it to the Americas, that means the assault already happened.
Right. Yeah. Amerigo Vespucci or something.
Okay.
That's so funny. I typed in, I'm going to show y'all. I typed in "Do Not Call Us Negroes" without putting Sylvia Wynter's name. And this is what AI gave me. It's funny as hell. It said, "Understood. I will not use that term." What?
And that's why I don't fuck with AI.
At all, brother. Give me the book.
Because why?
Okay. Anyway, let me see. I have this saved. It is not like the easiest thing to find. Let's see. Sylvia Wynter's essay challenges multiculturalism. Oh, see, that's probably why it's accessible. I'm calling it a book and it's an essay. But yeah, she writes to the California Board of Education. She's writing introduction by Joyce King, associate professor, director of teacher education at Santa Clara University. Professor Winter wrote this essay to California State Board of Education to support my position opposing the history social science textbook adoption. As a scholarly document, it raises profound issues that go far beyond the textbook critique. This essay addresses issues that are immediate and urgent ones. And then in the context of the imperative transformation of our present industrial system of education. And she goes on to just talk about how would Black students ever find themselves caught up and intellectually motivated by a historical continuum which reaches back to the Congolese and Las Casas, to Nat Turner, John Brown, Frederick Douglass, Garrison, and Harriet Beecher Stowe, so on and so forth. And just goes on to say, that we are not like these hyphenated European groups. We're not German American or Irish American or Italian American. It doesn't work for us, right? Because we were not brought here. I mean, we were brought here forcibly. And then she goes on to talk about natives as well. So she just says that settlers are trying to rebrand themselves, that white people wanted to rebrand themselves as all these hyphenated identities and make it seem like, yeah, we're just
They
all
farming together.
Yeah, we all just chilling here together. We all came over. We're all immigrants, right? And you even see that rhetoric sometimes with a lot of liberal politicians. Um, and they'll even say down here in Miami, Miami's a city of immigrants. Miami's a city of immigrants, and no, it is now 70% folks who come from somewhere else. So it might have a majority immigrant population, but to call it a city of immigrants makes no sense if you know the history. So yeah. But what are y'all doing for America
like
250? How y'all
I'm not doing shit. I don't fuck with America, but it's neither here nor there.
You gonna get us on? You gonna be on the watch list? We got that story today. Oh
And
man,
that's why I'm trying not to talk about it, because if we start talking about it, I'm gonna go down a conspiracy theory, and I'm really finna hurt people's feelings because I don't give a goddamn about what's like. Never have.
You're absolutely right.
I didn't even care about it as a kid. I mean, I knew I was locked in from a young age.
No, that's a great question. How did y'all? So from a young age, how did y'all celebrate or participate in, if you did, 4th of July? Or was it something like Amber where you were just like, nah, we didn't even do barbecue, it was just like another day?
Well, I also will say I think a part of it is because my mom was a single mom, so like she wasn't getting on no grill and shit, and we didn't even mention it to her like getting on a grill like for Memorial Day one time until like we were a lot younger. So she did, she like learned how to grill or whatever, but I think that part had like a small part in it, but other than that, we never really celebrated it. I don't like fireworks, so I've never been into that. It's just not my thing. I'll be like, I'm good. But I also think it has to do with like if you feel a sense of patriotism, and I don't, never really have. So
And your family never had? You didn't have family who was like military and they're like, you're gonna respect this country. You didn't
I
have
have
that?
family that's military, but they didn't say that to me. The
Nice.
only person that was like really in the military was my uncle Famous, and he's my aunt Georgetta's husband, like by marriage. I'm not blood related to him, but he's still my uncle, and he was in the military like in Vietnam War or something, and then was retired. That's about it. Nobody in my immediate family was in the army or the military.
Mm.
They rather join for fraternities instead of join the war. And hey, I'm not judging it.
That's
It was a million fucking cues, but no one joined the military.
Yikes. Actually, support that over military. Gotta agree. Sometimes though. Geechee, how about you?
I was about to, I was hearing a gum. I was like, who's chewing a gum? I don't.
Lord.
Let me.
I think it's I don't know, like, cause so as you was talking, I'm thinking about like whenever you say something about white people are trying to rebrand and how white people and their black friends will argue that they're just living and they're just whatever. Like, I didn't do anything, whatever. Like, they wouldn't call it rebranding, even though your analysis will say that. And your analysis is for the people you're trying to organize, but they require blood. Like, you ain't gonna be able to politicize the people that you had to neutralize. So I'm thinking about that. And then when as I relate to before the analysis, before the ability to have organized force, and before the consciousness to resist, most of us have been participating in things, at least from the people I know, never from a patriotic standpoint. Like, I can't even, I mean, I would have to been older enough to even understand what the fucking the 4th of July is, apart from niggas about to cook out firecrackers. But like, we don't even know, like, so, and anytime you give black people time off, they gonna be around each other.
They're gonna turn up.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I always look at it. Like, I don't, whenever we participate in things or not participate in things, there was never an explanation that you're doing this to pay homage or whatever to whoever. Like, that never was a thing. So I think most people are like, most of the people they're not having like political conversations, and they're not like, I've never been to a black person cookout and and they're waving the American flag and they're saying like, Like I just never had that experience other than, and then yeah, like somebody go out there and we go out in the woods and we have target practice, we shooting it. Like that's kind of what I know it is. But for me, I'm not doing shit, but I got a lot of work to do, writing and stuff. So that's what I'll be doing. Not participating.
Yeah, I agree. I think most people just use it as a day off. I even talk about that with Thanksgiving, though I do think obviously we got to be more conscious and push indigenous resistance on those settler holidays. I don't also see Black people waving a lot of American flags or doing anything like that. But I do see barbecues the same
I didn't
way.
even know that Old
Thanksgiving.
Navy t-shirt thing was a thing. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but like I saw this commercial one time where Old Navy was talking about like the 4th of July shirts or something because they were giving it out for free one time, and they were like, it's like a long-standing tradition. I was like, I have never seen niggas wear these shirts.
I think I know what you're talking about. I would never, but I do see them. Let's show the people. These are like
Yeah, they
Old
be having their whole
Navy
families decked out.
4th of July shirts. They of
Hmm.
course they threw a few of
Literally
us
with
in
the
there.
little
Of
flag
course.
and Old Navy thing. Yeah.
Of course they threw some of us in there. Of course we're in there. Yeah, right.
Oh, they
Yeah.
be having a lot of Black models. There's an Old Navy shopper.
It's funny as hell what they tried to do here. Um
Yes. Oh, not worried about the Dark Brother.
yeah, I think it's similar. So this discussion I had with Dr. Leland and Jared about Afrocentrism, and so I don't necessarily agree with how it's been articulated by some people, but I do agree with the basic premise. I think we all do, that you have to view history from your own perspective and from your people's perspective. And so Sylvia Wynter's essay probably wouldn't be called Afrocentric, but that's really what it is. She's just like, what does a little Black kid in a classroom reading his history book feel like? Because it's obviously made to make you identify, or the narrative point of view it's told from is a young settler, whether that be somebody whose parents immigrated from, France 2 generations ago, or she talks about how, again, the rebrand, they used to be comfortable calling themselves settlers and pioneers and stuff. And so I've been seeing a little bit more resurgence of that, because you have to lie about the origin story, where now they're like, yeah, the settlers and the founders and da da da. And that's probably why Obama's doing his whole PR stunt and talking about, well, Reconstruction, they were
I'm
trying,
trying
but
to
they
see
just
how he beating
didn't
these
do the best.
allegations around this censor. Like, have y'all been seeing like all the bad press they've been getting around the presidential center thing and how they
Yeah,
wasn't paying people or whatever? I'm trying to see how they beating this press because I'm seeing it. Are they just
because
ignoring it?
He's Obama. Again, he'll do a
Well,
podcast
they,
and now
I mean,
woke.
yeah, all you gotta do is do 2 podcasts and it's
no,
done.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate that
It's
for us.
yeah.
But
But anyway, like seeing history from our own perspective, I felt that way too. Like as a kid, I know 4th of July's were definitely barbecues, definitely fireworks. No red, white, and blue fireworks, just fireworks. So good politics talking about it. Showing no. Sorry, I missed that one. What
Yeah,
was the
I think it's like a
shooting
millennial
fireworks at each other?
Gen
Yeah,
Z thing with the shirts because I will say people I went to high school with who were like a year older than me or year younger than me, and they had their little families. They was having them Old Navy shirts on. I'm like, what is up with these Old Navy shirts? Like, what's happening? Do I not know something? Is this like a thing? And apparently it was. I do think them getting the shirts for free though was a big reason why.
I'm muted. Yeah, exactly. I think the free thing is it's all what it is. Like stood outside, watch fireworks shows. It's the same thing if it's free, or if you have family that wants to buy fireworks and shoot them off. I think that's essentially it. I think America knows this. I think it knows not everybody's some super patriot, and they're like, what fun consumer thing can we do? Oh, fireworks, which is technology stolen from China. Anyway, let's just do that. So we did that in my family. We would definitely shoot off fireworks. It was cool to let kids do it. You got the little poppers, or what are they called, where you grab, you know what I'm talking about, those little like
The poppets,
casket size,
I
the
love
poppet,
those.
those the little sparklers for the kids who would burn the house down and can't be
the
trusted.
po people fireworks.
And then yeah, I didn't really feel anything even as a kid. I definitely didn't think of it as that, but that was saying the Afrocentric approach to history. I was just like, what would our people have been doing on the
Yeah.
4th of July?
But
We
that's
wouldn't
also
fuck
why I
with
think
that.
people should talk to folks more, because I do find a lot of black people feel the same way, but we don't talk to each other. And people be
Yeah.
judging and assuming shit like, oh no, they wouldn't be into this, or they wouldn't be into like the black radical tradition. But if you talk to them, they be like, yeah, I agree with it. Nobody ever talks to them about it. So I do think that like even subjects like this are a good chance to like bring up something and be like, hey, while we're talking about this, what do you think about black liberation?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And relevant to what we just were talking about, and I see some folks mentioning it in the chat. As I was saying, so the new nation of immigrants kind of liberal narrative is something even like Mamdani has stated. More progressive folks can say it because of the ICE repression going on right now, all of those things. And then as we've seen in some cities, there's been massive demographic changes where they are maybe majority immigrant. But even then, not every nation comes here for the same reason. The white South Africans fleeing South Africa are not coming here for the same reason as someone fleeing a nation the U.S. has bombed. So that's always a thing. But instead of the liberal kind of multiculturalism, we're all immigrants thing, there's always the old school, the settlers weren't that bad, final frontier, manifest destiny kind of bullshit that a lot of people have been able to push back on. But some people, specifically the U.S. ruling class, need it to exist. So here's Obama. You ask what he's doing. He's certainly not talking about
It's so
not paying
crazy.
niggas. Instead, he's talking about former presidents, just like he rehabilitated Reagan. He also is now saying this about George Washington.
It's possible for me to be a great admirer of George Washington and also acknowledge he was a slaveholder. And that does not negate his greatness. It simply acknowledges that there's a profound, deep flaw
You're
in
so fucking ghetto.
these founding fathers who were also geniuses and gave us these tools. And which is true of all of us, right? It's true of every president. It's that we're this mixed bag. It's possible.
That shucking and jiving, boy. This is the top. Like, I don't think people understand. He is the top house Negro ever, like bar none. He's number one. And also, which is terrifying, I think someone who said it was someone on Jared's show, but he also has the highest body count probably of any African ever. I struggle to imagine one that has a higher body count than this.
That's what Diallo said.
Diallo said that? Okay. Yeah, that's terrifying to think about. But it's just a character flaw.
I think but the other thing is like, so it's all expected. It's like Obama hasn't surprised anybody in the last however many years. It's like, what else would a black, or if you want to call them biracial, whatever you want to call them, what else would that black or biracial person who running or who's the face of the most genocidist country in history of humankind, he's the face of that. What else the fuck is he could do? There's nothing else he can do. Even when he leave, and now he needs to like stay relevant because they finished with him. What I mean,
that's what it feels like. You're trying to stay relevant, mind you. People fall for anything because even I was like, he do have nice swag for a black person, not as a president.
That man ain't got no damn swag.
Nah, I mean, it's always compared
he got a good stylist. Let's be honest.
I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to do it. Like so I because of whatever the movie Boots Riley thing, I end up seeing an interview and I clipped it. I'm gonna play a clip right quick, and then I didn't know this was gonna happen, but it obviously happened. But the clip is so bad that I was like, damn, this gonna look like I'm doing something negative or bad towards him. But I'm like, well, this nigga did the interview, so it's him. I mean, it's his words. And then I posted, and his older brother come on there and say how like, yo, this dude be saying some other stuff. Or he like pretty much we are dealing with people's journals and how people narrate
They
experience.
create their own story.
Yeah, and I was thinking like you could do that. You could do that in college, right? When people go to college, they recreate themselves at college. You go to college somewhere and you be like, I'm a hood nigga. I used to sell drugs. Nobody never gonna know because they're not going back home. But once you become
I
famous,
didn't do that in college. People was doing that in college.
I'm just saying, yeah, people recreate themselves. Like people.
I'm just saying about me. I'm just saying, is that like a normal thing people do?
Yes, Amber.
Yes, like nobody knows you in college.
Can't
You know what I mean?
relate.
Like you're a whole new person. But anyway, all I'm saying is you can't do that when you're famous though, because like the niggas you grew up with, they're still alive. Like, so let me play this little clip right quick, and then hold on. And then the lady even prep, like you could tell the questions that the girl is asking.
They
The
be
lady,
loading the questions up.
huh?
They be loading the questions up, like they be adding a lot to it.
Oh yeah, no. What I'm saying is you could tell that Boots actually probably these are the questions you should ask me.
Such a fascinating background. Your parents were political organizers and activists, and I'm curious, was that their ambition for you?
I wasn't pushed in any particular direction. When I turned 14 and I started becoming more politically aware of the world, I had an attitude. I got mad at my father. I was like, well, why didn't you tell me about this? You know, what were you hiding from me? Because he had been involved in radical organizations and I had been all around that stuff, but it was never explained to me. Like, here's how the world works. Here's what I believe. They let me come into things on my own. My father, before he was in the more radical stuff, he was in the civil rights movement, NAACP core, did, moderated a talk with Malcolm X, all that sort of stuff. As I got older, little by little, I would see, the class analysis come out, because he didn't ever come out and say, look, this is how capitalism works. It's a struggle of the working class against the ruling class, and this is what we need to do. By the time I was doing those things, it was the 80s, and he had also left the radical organization that he had been in and become a public defender. When I was in high school, we had led this walkout, and I was involved in this radical organization called the Progressive Labor Party, which is a communist organization. And the principal, it was a successful walkout, and the principal was an ex-cop, and this big buff dude named Mr. O'Leary, he brought me in and interrogated me with uniformed police officers, just saying, we know what you're up to. We know, you're agitating here, and we're watching you. And for me, it just made me feel important. Right. But for my girlfriend at the time, who was a Seventh-day Adventist, they were like, we're calling your pastor. We're calling your parents. Don't talk to him anymore. And that was that.
So I'm not denying that the dynamics of the things he explained happened, but the way he explained it, his brother says it's full of shit, and he's been lying about all type of stuff. But that goes to say, like, a lot of times we are reading. Like, somebody texted me the other day and said like something about Nat Turner. I can't remember, one of my comrades, and how he was saying how like all the stuff that we've read, there's new history or untouched history.
Mm-hmm.
Well, basically what you're saying is somebody else narrated something or journaled something or said something, and you're including that into your analysis. And
you figuring it out in real time.
Wait, I'm confused. Did you say his brother said he's like his blood brother? Boots' blood brother said he's not telling the truth, or?
Yeah, so his older brother has been in the comments, and he said our mother was not a political activist. She married one. This is why Raymond, who's Boots' real name, only discussed my stepfather, who is an attorney sworn to uphold and defend the Constitution. Raymond did not grow up during Walter's activism period of life. He grew up in Walter's law school period. Raymond's self-declared communist identity can only be logically defined at, what, I don't even know how you say this, Shatik. I don't know what that means.
Shtick, like an act, a shtick.
Okay. Shit. All right, for the advancement of the entertainment
Like
career.
he lying.
Thank you, Evan. Seriously, communism is something that Raymond can describe but cannot explain. He is now a recent millionaire funded by Zionists. And so
this
because
is his blood brother going at him like this, yo.
And so I confirmed, I was like, is that your brother? He's like, yeah, he's the older brother. But so they got the same mom, but I think they got different daddies, and he went to live with his mom, and Boots went to go live with his daddy or something like that. So it's like, yeah, but basically I'm saying it's like, bro, like I don't hear what you say. What you say?
They got too much family drama for me. Ain't nobody putting my lawyer on the internet.
Well, I'm less focused on the family drama, and all I'm trying to explain is all of us are journaling and telling something, and then most of us either sit with one person said, and that's what we walk away. We start to build our analysis off of one person's account of a story, and we don't. So again, back to this Harrisonian thing that Brian talks about with Hubert Harrison, is he made it a point to before he said he know a thing, he studied a thing, and then he find out 10 people who know it differently and study those 10 different ways, and then he can say he know a thing. But before then, like you just taking the word of something. Like, that's why I think that's kind of why we in the situation we in. Like most Black people are inherently anti-capitalist until you have to talk about protecting their resources, right? Most Black people are gonna be working their ass off, getting exploited just so that they can go pay the person who controls the power grid and the person who has so it's like you would have to be like willfully ignorant and lodged into like a death camp to even want to support capitalism as any Black or brown person. But you know how you understand capitalism, how you understand communism and imperialism probably came from one weird ass dude or woman or whoever, and you never really explored it, right? So yeah, that's kind of how I think about in storytelling narratives, and like how are you going to get the whole. In fact, the dude even said he was embarrassed about some things, but now he's no longer embarrassed. He's older now, and he's not embarrassed to kind of speak his truth, which most people would say is probably drama or family business or whatever. But really, it's like that. Does that man not have a right to tell his story after Boots is around the world, you know, painting this picture of who he is and his dad like that? I mean, I don't know.
Him Raymond. I said, oh, you was talking about him for real. No, I get what you're saying now, Geechee. I do agree with I didn't think of it as deeply when you were saying it before, but I do think people go to college and stuff and reinvent themselves. I didn't do that. I think I missed the opportunity.
I mean, and I don't think it's a negative, inherently negative thing to get a second chance and rebuild yourself and whatever. But I'm just saying, it's like if you do it in a way that's dishonest, like this is who you're becoming, that's different than I am this thing, right? So even with, you know, and most of us will again know somebody who grow up and become whatever. But if you're writing a book talking about who you is and what you did or whatever, and you start naming names, those people are real people and they got real families. Same thing with the Fred Hampton movie. The scene where the man got killed by the police, he had a shootout with the police. Their family was real upset about that because it made it look like he was the deranged nigga just shooting at the cops. When the cops attack him, he returned fire and he dropped some of their asses. Like that's a whole different dynamic than the way you're dramatizing it. So like somebody got to sit with that you're telling a story in a way that not only inaccurate, but it's like harmful at that point.
Yeah, that was interesting background. I'm definitely gonna look into it more.
Yeah, I do think people be getting the fuck off sometimes. Like you'll do something, people are like, oh, it's cool to reinvent yourself, and then they'll completely change some shit and make it like come from a different point of view, and I'll be like, you shooting the fuck off. We didn't say all that now.
And I think there's a difference between reinvention for like popular consumption versus what we were talking about. Because I do think when you go to college, it might be some of the first time for some folks they have a certain amount of autonomy, right? Like, so I got to go there and I got to design my own room, and you get to have your own taste, and your own taste can be bad, and you can learn through that, grow through that. I had an Angry Birds poster. I still love Roscoe Dash when I was going into my freshman year. So, you know, I had some taste.
I love Roscoe Dash too. These don't sound like bad things to me.
Roscoe Dash, the Angry Birds poster, very era appropriate. You know how when they go back in time and they do flashbacks in movies, they pick certain pieces of culture to show what year it is? That would have definitely been the Roscoe Dash, Angry Birds would have let you know when I went to college. But I think that form, you know, as Geechee was saying, it's not all negative. It's different than trying to create a persona for yourself around specifically a certain politic and a certain revolutionary politic. So
Roscoe Dash
you
is
know,
an artist, Geechee. Geechee look confused.
I remember Roscoe Dash. I was just kind of
Roscoe Dash.
ROSCOE,
Mr. Shawty put it on me. I be going ham, Shawty upgrade from baloney. You niggas looking good, but what I can make it thunder. You ain't never heard the song?
Yeah, but
Nice.
Roscoe,
Get in my rain,
Girl,
rain,
you
go
do
away.
it.
That's what all I had to say. My pockets built on overload. My rain
That's
never
what-
evaporate.
that's
No
Whoa.
need to elaborate.
Whoa.
what's that? Waka Flocka. That's Waka Flocka, right?
He
That's
had a
his
song with Waka Flocka, I think you're thinking of. Oh, no, he had a song with Wale called No
Not
Hands.
everybody
I
in
don't
chat
know.
saying I was confused. Thanks, Amber. That's so funny.
I mean, I heard of Roscoe Dash. He just ain't, you know, he ain't made it up to my
He was just popular when I was like high school, early
He was a college.
but
He was like a high school party college artist.
It's
and
like,
everybody
yeah,
was
it's like
putting
Travis
out
Porter
hits
as
after
well.
hit.
It's almost
But,
like if it's coming up and they be like, "Who you like?" I'm not gonna expect somebody to say The Dream or Roscoe Dash.
I mean,
I love the dream, baby.
I was to say that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Shawty
Like,
rock to the beat for your boy.
That's not okay.
But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, no.
What? Why wouldn't you like the dream? What he do to you?
It's a
Radio
dark time.
Killer.
Exactly.
Shawty is a sugar honey iced tea.
Iced tea.
Yes, one iced tea.
Where-
That's
Little
pretty
mama iced teas.
Don't
my
purge
shit.
it. Let the millennials seep into your spirit, Dre. You can't.
Because why are you hating? That was music gold.
Brother, this is 99% of the industry, you know.
I don't give a damn. I'm not listening to the song. I'm listening to music. Listen, we gotta draw the line somewhere. I feel like
well listen, I'm gonna just tell you. Let me add something. You almost sound like Obama there. I don't give a damn. I'm just listening to the music. That's what he kind of say about Washington. He said, I don't give a damn. I'm just listening to the music. He has some hot lines. I know he enslaved the blacks, but he got some hot lines. That's what Obama just said on the clip.
I didn't say that.
That point.
I think that there's a difference. I have a very hard line around artists. I don't pay for concerts for niggas who do trifling shit. I don't buy CDs. I feel like me streaming something on YouTube is not the same impact as me being a diehard fan who going to concerts, who buying meet and greet tickets, who buying your merch off the website, who buying your vinyls. I don't do none of that shit because most of these artists ain't shit. It has to be like an artist I really know isn't an ain't shit nigga, and I'm doing all that for. I don't do that for a lot of people. That's why I have like the same 10 artists that I go to concerts for. But I'm probably gonna stream the music. I feel like I'm not streaming R. Kelly or nothing. I'm not streaming Chris Brown. I think a little dream song ain't gonna kill nobody.
I mean, it's come on now. We're talking about how we consume. No ethical consumption here. I do think obviously there's
And that's why
certain
people
conversations.
It's too hard of a line for some people.
You know, whatever. It's like burning philosophy. It's a
I'm saying
boycott.
the dream of Roscoe Dash not enslavers. Y'all acting like these motherfuckers.
But we
is out
not
here.
comparing. Come on, no, that wasn't.
No, that's what Geechee was doing. Talking about I sound like an Obama.
I'm saying the analogy. I don't really pay attention to the impact
analogy
he has on
doesn't
society.
compare.
I like his music. Okay, you want me to do
I
R.
don't
Kelly?
care about some colorism allegations.
I knew R.
All
I
you
knew R. Kelly
motherfuckers
was
is
coming.
You want to use R.
Now,
Kelly?
if they said he was kidnapping women and enslaving them, or they say he was beating women up and getting lawsuits, then I'd be like, oh shit, the dream is on some bullshit. Can't fuck with him. He's not on Chris Brown level. He's just a little colorist. And most of you motherfuckers is colorists.
A little.
I mean, what
We
is
ain't
it? Who
doing
does that
that. We ain't
leave?
doing that to our
I
audience.
mean, I don't know.
We
I
doing
don't know
it
the
to
dude. I don't really. I don't know nothing
celebrity
about his
class.
politics. I just know his music is trash, and I ain't like to.
I don't think he knows nothing about his politics. Have y'all ever heard him talk?
Who?
I don't want to hear him talk.
He be
I want
talking in alliterations and colloquialisms. That man ain't got nothing up there. Just got the music. Listen.
Boots did have a song titled "Bootleg His Stuff" or something. Like he was encouraging people to bootleg it, and so
somebody, yeah, talk about boosting and whatnot. And Cherie pointed out like there's a respectability politics argument around boosting that exists, which is why are you depicting Black women stealing from that movie? And there's critiques from the left which we try to encourage, and then there's critiques from the right. And I think
wait, what now?
That there's a lot of controversy. Cherie talked about it, but people saying that the movie I Love Boosters celebrates women stealing, Black women particularly stealing, at a time where we're getting killed for stealing stuff. Well, we've always been getting killed for anything, stealing or not. So that's, I think, a right-wing critique I've seen of the movie, which comes from a sort of respectability politics sort of place. Like, why are we glorifying stealing? We Black people, we follow the rules. We don't steal. We work hard, type of thing. So I think that's a right-wing critique of his movie. I, again, am not against what they're talking about, celebrating boosting from these corporations. And I think the whole point that the movie does actually explain is that her work was stolen first. So can y'all? All right, we're gonna get off the drink. Let's get back to business. Appreciate.
I think it's important. Leah said the dream got a square head. That's all I can add to the segment. I think that's a good point.
Okay, I see. So somebody in the chat did ask us something else. I think I had it starred, which was, oh no, I might have lost it, but I saw you. Which is, can we talk about the Young Miami Spend That controversy? So I think it's similar. I think it's a related topic. Young Miami has a song celebrating scammers and boosters that I guess did not come out in time for the I Love Booster soundtrack, because it would have been a perfect addition. But here we go. India Ari, neo soul artist, doesn't like Young Miami Spend That. And this is kind of what I expected. Okay, well, yeah, sure. This makes sense. Like, look side by side, guys, at how these artists,
anybody else who said it, because
personalities exist, their style of dress, how they're going to be marketed to you. Like, okay. So India Ari on the left says Young Miami on the right. Spend that. Everything you listen to, see, or eat is going to influence you. Well, this is true. India Ari criticized the popularity of Young Miami Spend That as a reflection of larger cultures. All right. Okay. Well, what is the context? Why are we asking India Ari?
I was just finna say, somebody said it in the comments, but I was just finna say India Ari is a ho-chim.
As 32-year-old City's Girl writes the latest solo single climbs up the charts.
She a ho-chim. She transphobic.
Threads this week, a horrible mistake. This was the mistake right here. Going to Threads. That's already a problem. To explain why she's not a fan of the song and thinks its mass acceptance signifies a larger issue in culture. But this is arguments against rap forever, or commercial rap, we should say, not rap itself as an art form, but like commercial rap it's consumerism, it's misogyny, it's anti-Blackness, it's violence. We've heard these things forever. So what's new about this? All my scammers and my get money, blah blah blah. Song has already reached number 25. Sparked a sing-along at the 2026 BET Awards. So that was what I was gonna say earlier. When I was doing my 4th of July tradition, it'd be barbecue, it'd be fireworks, and then we would all watch a recording of the BET Awards. That would be my tradition. Like, because we didn't watch them live, we'd always get it recorded at my grandparents' house, and we turn it on and we'd watch it for the first time together. So apparently they just happened. India Ari first commented on Spend That in a Threads post about the song's success. Young Miami's decision to write a letter in defense of her ex, Sean Diddy Combs, amid his allegations of sexual abuse. So Amber, when we were talking about the line, this is actually what I was thinking about, was that Young Miami was dating Diddy. And so I thought that would be the center of the controversy. Not that she has a song about scamming and scheming and spending that or whatever, like typical rap. But yeah, this is crazy. So she wrote a letter in defense of her ex. And then she apparently defended him on the Breakfast Club. I finally realized that not everybody wants to get free, wrote India Ari, and it was a very, very, very rude awakening because the mass acceptance of the song is a crystal clear sign of this much bigger truth. So I think we kind of get the gist. She replied to a post calling for a boycott of the song. I spent my entire adult life caring way too much because I finally learned that not everybody cares, and explaining it to them is not going to make them care. Everything you listen to, see, or eat is going to influence you, so make wise choices, y'all. The video singer's comments spoke online conversation, which led to clarifying her thoughts in a longer post. She explained that she's not calling for a boycott of the song and said everybody's going to make the choices they want to make. Okay. As a person who really thought we were supposed to be working toward world's peace, I really had to recalibrate. I don't think humanity is meant for peace. Okay. The rude awakening I speak of came over the last 6 years. I learned that it is not my place to help anybody do anything. It is only my place to be myself, and I'm always going to do that. And then she says, I'm not addressing this again. When I recorded that song in Miami says, I said that is a song that's going to resonate with people, and I was right. I feel so happy everybody loves the song. Okay. Thoughts, any reactions to that story?
I mean, again, how you say it, what you say.
I can't hear you, Geechee. I don't know if it's me.
Oh, I don't know.
I can hear you, Geechee. That's why I feel like Lord can't hear us.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, it must have been my headphones. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So one of the things is, I know there's Amber, you call it pussy rap, or I can't remember, but I'm not gonna sit there and act like the music ain't trash. Like the music is trash. I mean, but other than that, like why people like it, I think there's but I don't see that as being no more trash than the nigga who be like, you got to get 17 businesses and LLCs. Like both of them lead you to uncritical, goofy shit. So whether it's twerking and spinning it and boosting, or it's following the American dream and nuclear family, so now I mean I listen to India Ari, and I used to like most of the music. It's kind of affirmation type music, but they're in two different lanes. So yeah, I don't have much to. I'm tired of all that.
I wonder why they pulled her into this conversation, but I definitely feel like India Ari, someone in the comments said that she's more conservative than we think. Yeah, India Ari is a lot more conservative than we think, and I think that's also something I have realized. Huh?
Then who thought that she was radical or not conservative? Like,
I would definitely say that she positioned herself to me in her music to come off a little
Young
more
Miami is
radical.
conservative. Young Miami conservative. What? Young Miami is conservative. Puff Daddy's conservative.
India Ari.
Okay, I'm saying all of them are conservative. If you ask me, they all.
Oh, I mean, but that's not who we're talking about right now.
India Ari and Young Miami, right?
I'm talking about India Ari. Gosh,
I'm lost.
You messed up my logic. Damn, nigga.
Now you see how I feel. Medicine, go.
Whatever. All I was gonna say was I do feel like India Ari had this image as an artist that makes her seem more liberal, little ho-tempy, slight ho-tempy, and more like accepting. She gives a love everyone type of vibe, but she's definitely very conservative, very transphobic, very ho-tempish, very pick-me girl. And I only learned this when she started talking. Sometimes I need to shut the fuck up. Honestly, I'm not gonna hold you. Sometimes celebrities need to just shut the fuck up. But the moment she started talking, I said, "Oh, she believes some crazy shit," and it kind of just went. downhill after that. So I haven't listened to her music like that she recently put out. I listened to her first few albums and like the ones you're talking about, like the more affirmation music, like the one that had the album that has that Breathe song on it. I love that album. But I haven't listened to any of her stuff after that because I definitely noticed a turn in the music. And I seen her live 2 times. The first time somebody in the chat just said, yeah, it said she's anti-black as fuck. The first time I saw her, she wasn't. The second time I saw her, she was. And it's a lot of judgment around like culture stuff. Like because she wraps her hair up and she wear clothes all the way down to her ankles and cover her whole body. Women who don't, especially black women who don't, are hood and less valued. And that's why she don't fuck with pussy rap. Like but that's to me, that's very anti-black because your audience is hood niggas. A lot of people who listen to NDRE is like y'all aunties, my mama, who definitely don't cover up, and me. Like millennials. So I do think it's like counter to her actual audience of people who listen to her. NDRE is not 60. Who said she's 60 in the chat?
NDRE is pretty older. Like I'm 42. NDRE is
I think she's in her 50s, maybe. I don't think she's 60.
That's a wiki question.
Exaggerating because you're older than 30, right?
I'm 31.
Barely. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so I think they was exaggerating, but yeah, like I mean, she is
10 years on me.
I mean, I was gonna say that there is a something to be said about. She was born in 75, so she's 50, not 60. So yeah, and you're right, auntie age. That's kind of what I get. I literally was putting her in the category of auntie music of like Jill Scott, Mary J. Blige, Kim. Like if I'm cleaning up my house with my mom, like that's what's on the playlist. It was NDRE.
But I feel like she would put down Jill Scott because Jill Scott be freaky as hell in them songs.
Yeah, but Jill Scott is not. They might be in the same genre, but they're not marketed the same way. I mean, she probably put down Erykah Badu in some ways, right? Even though they maybe fit closer to the same aesthetic, but Erykah Badu's more about the sort of freedom around drugs and sexuality that I appreciate. But yeah, I mean, auntie music, if you want to call it that, it makes sense. I do think that what needed to be like, again, why this song though? This is the same way we talk about how they position Nicki Minaj against every other female rapper, and then before that it was Lil Kim against Nicki Minaj. So it's just why is she critiquing the woman on this? This is just common in rap. I even went to the rap charts. I don't even think Spin That's #1 right now. I
don't think it is, but I also don't look at rap charts. I also will say I think that it, like you said, that it was from Threads. I think that it's interesting how Threads has like opened up this space where people are like seeing people's actual thoughts because it doesn't like hide people's comments like that. I see like one of my favorite singers is Amber Riley. I see her commenting on stuff all the time. And her opinions are not crazy. They'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see that. Or, yeah, I feel the same way. But I also see other celebrities commenting on stuff. And I'd be like, y'all need to stop commenting on stuff. And that's how they got that article, because she definitely commented on somebody's Threads post. And they be going back and forth and stuff. Because to me, Threads feels like Twitter in the beginning where you still had access to people. And no one really cares. So they just be on there talking about anything. And I think that's where they fuck up. When you get too comfortable and you start letting your lore out, then you got to also accept the consequences of letting your lore out. Because as a nigga who does listen to NDRE and has listened to Spin That, it's all right. But I definitely listen to a lot of pussy rap more. I see no issue with it. Like, it's just a fucking song. And in the last few years, she's been... I don't think that it's as serious as people are taking it. I understand that, like, she's pushing the thing that, like, what you take in is who you become. But I don't think that's true for everybody. Some people do take on the whole personality of the stuff they listen to. But not everyone. Most people I know don't.
Song is one of the most powerful forms of teaching. So, for instance, whenever, like, do you remember being in clubs and if you want niggas to go home, you play "Fuck them other niggas, I'm down for my." That's more likely to get niggas to fight. Huh?
I mean, we didn't do that where I was at, but yeah, sure.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But even like you from Memphis, niggas is shooting each other over the lyrics, like Dolph and so it's like I don't want to act like
the grown individuals who are in a gang with each other, not regular Memphians. That's what I'm saying. I think that when we apply something a little too broadly, then it does give bigger meanings to something I think it should have. I don't think that it should be applied that broadly. It's really what I'm saying. Because that's to me, that's like when people compare crime. Like when they say, oh, Memphis is just full of crime because there's a lot of high crime there, but that's only 1% of the population that's committing crime. So I think when we say, oh, they listen to this music and that's why they act like that, that's why they want to be gangsters, but it's literally just 10 people.
No, I'm not saying that music is making them do that. What I'm saying is we don't have to sit there and joke. Like the music, if the music is trash and the lyrics is trash, it's trash. You like it, you like the beat, you want to dance or whatever. But
I never said it wasn't trash.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So India Irie could be right about the music is trash, and what I'm saying is she probably got some trash music too. If her music helps you accept the way things are and have a positive outlook despite getting fucking killed, her music is trash too. So I'm saying like, yeah, like I don't feel no frustration more to these people than those people. Both of them are the same. Where's the good music at? Where's the stuff that's gonna help you think through, process, organize, all these other things? Those are the kind of music that, the quote unquote conscious rappers. I listen to Skip. I listen to Skip music. I like, when he said he's thinking buffet, he can't contemplate a potluck. I want to hear bars like that. Like if we gonna collectively do something, or you coming here for your individual greedy ass needs. So that's what I'm saying. Like most of that music is trash. I just looked at the lyrics just now, and then hell, I don't even think I ever heard the lyrics.
But I think my issue is that, so like I said, I think a woman is being positioned, a black woman specifically, being positioned to critique another black woman. I think that what Amber said is true in terms of it's like a meta critique of rap itself. Rap itself, commercial rap, is not conscious at all. And artists themselves, if you are not conscious, organizing, studying, right? We talk about that all the time. We have to study. Then you're just going to say what, we could call it normie stuff. But like all of these artists are going to say pretty bourgeois, right-wing stuff, whether it's in a different package, right? Like the more Afrocentric cultural nationalist package, or Amber was calling Hotepi like that. Or you can just be straight up capitalist. I'm dating Diddy. I'm about go yard bags and scamming. But either way, neither of it is
I didn't even know what a go yard was.
Oh,
I'm in my
seen
go yard and my
go yard bags.
I don't even know that.
But to my point, again, Miami scamming capital of the USA. So I've seen many a go yard bag and Hellcat. But when I was talking about this, like the top songs on the chart right now, Spend That according to Apple Music is number 3, but it's a bunch of Drake. All right, nothing about Iceman, which is super misogynist. Janice, shut the fuck up. And this is I think a shot at Baby. Oh, yeah. I haven't listened to Iceman all the way through, I don't think, but I've heard these songs because they're all over TikTok, the radio. You can't go anywhere. That's how this works without hearing this.
They're only popular right now because of TikTok, if we're being honest. Like I only have heard the Shebang song on TikTok, and all I heard is Manish on the beach, Shebang. That's it. Like I haven't heard anything else. It's like
true
5 seconds.
But this is again, we're just talking about commercial rap, right? Like even if you don't hear it here, if you go to the gym, you're gonna hear it. If you go out somewhere, likely chance you're gonna hear it. If you are in it, before it was TikTok, it's on Instagram. You got a workout video in your algorithm. People are literally just going through, just like this, the top songs. I even know it, like where trainers will be like, okay, what's top right now? Because that'll get me picked up in the algorithm and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to put my set up next to Shebang. So you're going to hear the songs in some way. People are going to make content about it. There's going to be endless music reviews.
They want it to pop up in the front page.
So I'm like, Spend That has a unique appeal in terms of region, right? Because of Miami and Florida and all of that. And there's dances that have come out from some Florida natives to it. So I get that. But I'm just like, again, Drake is all over this chart. I think this is about Baby Keem's mom, if I'm not mistaken, on the lore on this. This is probably, it's Drake and Future and Miley Santana, probably about, strippers in Atlanta. All sorts of things. Minks in Miami, Rick Ross. There's like consumerism. Yeah, but so I'm like
a hit. It's a motion party you cannot get in.
Boss Man D-Lo. So there's like 10 songs on here that all have the same content or whatever, and to be like, this was the
No, they
song
don't.
that
Now wait a minute.
really woke
Don't do
me
Don
up.
Toliver like that.
Don Toliver got a weird case. Why is he around? No,
He got a weird case. God
apparently,
damn.
but also he's with Kali Uchis. They're gonna make
It be the
talented musical
semi-ugly
babies. Regardless, point is something is happening
I'm
in the
more so when
chat.
I was
So
saying that, I was saying that because I was like, to me, the songs aren't the same. Like the Don Toliver album is not similar to Drake at all.
Yeah, but Don Toliver's music is still commercial rap. It's smoking weed.
It's commercial rap, but I'm
being
just going
around
off what
women,
you're saying.
womanizing, smoking weed, and
The nigga talking
partying.
about on the highway, and I'm thinking that I love her.
Yeah, and how with my significant lover. Yeah, well, he's got the Kali Uchis. That's his baby mama. I think maybe his wife. So of course, he's gonna
You know, I
tailor.
saw something on TikTok
I don't
about
think
that, but
that's
I wasn't
terrible.
sure if they were like actually dating because I never see that lady.
Oh yeah, they have a baby together. Like I
How
said,
would I
very
know?
if that baby's
Having
gonna
a
be
baby with an
musically
ugly nigga
talented, if
because he
they
got
pass it
money is
on.
crazy.
I imagine they love each other ever. I don't know though, but I imagine it's not that.
I think he loves her,
Uh,
and that's why he made us
okay.
album full of songs about her.
Sure, more power to that family, whatever.
Not you just want the black
People are
family
asking
together.
us, yeah, exactly. We happy. Wait, y'all are just learning this in the chat. Y'all don't keep up on pop culture. This is why Fridays we do the pop culture to keep y'all updated, so y'all don't seem confused in these streets.
They just not learning about the Kali Uchis and Don Toliver thing.
Yeah. Okay, we need a wrench. I saw it, y'all. From this side of things, I can't exactly add mods, but I did remove the comments. So it's
Jay
on.
said, I don't know what a Don Toliver is. I'm happy about it. First of all, you're funny.
Good for y'all, man.
Don Toliver put out the album of the summer. Fuck you mean?
I'm telling y'all, if you can't, again, this is just commercial music. So I think we spent enough time on this story.
But also, he's a producer. So like all his music is production heavy, and that's why it's so good. Like it's actually not really the lyrics.
Yeah.
The lyrics are, to me, they're fine. Like they're not like overly vulgar for all the songs. Like some of them are a little nasty. That's about it. But they're just good produced songs. Like he know how to integrate a sample. He know how to layer. He know how to like add shit. That's really what makes the songs good.
Yeah, I think Travis Scott is similar, and that's who is ahead of him in the lineage. It was like Kanye West to bringing in Travis Scott, and then people joke like, "Have you ever listened to Travis Scott lyrics?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that man is saying random shit, just bullshit on that track. He's saying nothing. It's a whole track. You could hear the whole verse, and it's empty. It's junk food." So that's again like any area saying like, "This is the end of times," blah blah blah. It's funny to me. I also again like to get back to the right-wing critique of Boots and all of that. Like that's not the critique here that we're trying to say. Materialism, consumerism is in commercial rap. It's all over the place. It's not just Young Miami. It's everywhere. And I do think, yeah, obviously there's an effect on everyone's consciousness if you consume any of this media. That's the point. So there's no issue here. I saw the comment start, so we could just bring it up. So is the corporate music industry the problem for our culture? Of course, right? Because it's commodifying your culture. And then it's some white executive who's deciding what is and isn't going to get played. And of course, we know the Epstein class and their social values. So if the Epstein class is controlling the music industry, then yeah, it's going to produce values that are reflective of that class and that class's interests. So it doesn't reflect our culture. So to Geechee's point, as Skip Coon, conscious rappers, even positive rap. There's the stories, all sorts of stories about rappers wanting to change their message. I even think Too Short said he wanted to do positive rap at one point, and the label told him no. Yada yada yada. There's so many stories.
But they told Snoop Dogg yes. That's why I be like.
But Snoop Dogg didn't make positive. I mean, Snoop lying or whatever. That was deep in his career after he's already tap danced with Martha Stewart and all that.
No, he's making kids music and shit.
No, I'm saying now, but he already gave us, a bunch of crip rap. Yeah, so he's already earned his stripes at this point. If he wants to fuck off and do some stuff, they still know they can call on Uncle Snoop to support. Didn't he support Donald Trump? Like all this kind of stuff. So once you're a safe Negro, for our corporate masters, they'll let you play around a little bit. They're like, yeah, whatever. You want to make a kids bop album? We don't care anymore. Like, it's not going to sell. So that's it. Just when we need you to come up and say crip and dance with white women and put women on dog collars. Again, like India.Arie has been around for a minute. Didn't Snoop have black women in collars at one of his, red carpets? Like, this is what we're doing. It's been around forever. So, Geechee, I did have a point, and then maybe we could get into some news. It's a little past the top of the hour. About the child raising thing, though, that did bother me a little bit. And we had this critique of I love boosters in general, but this idea, almost like a bourgeois idea, that if you just show people the truth, that in itself is the work. And you can just let people kind of come to their own conclusions or all of that, which is a really like liberal idea. So him talking about, in my house, I wasn't raised with a politic, right? Like, I was just allowed to explore and come to these ideas myself. Yeah, I think that's I don't agree with that. I don't think that's a revolutionary form of parenting. I don't think that's a form of parenting any black person should take on. It's very casual. I think it is your job. We all agree on this, to guide your child, to use the village, to give them the skills they need and the knowledge they need. So my father, if your father is this radical and this communist, and he's not explaining to you what capitalism is and how it works and all of that, that's a problem. So I can raise that critique at him, because I don't like that idea at all. That's how you end up with this, oh, I just learned it from on my own, or I learned it from the streets, or boom, boom, boom. If your dad has the knowledge, the skill set, the organizational capacity to bring you in as a youth, like, I don't get why we're acting like that's cool that he didn't do that.
Well, because Boots is not telling the truth. Like, it's his stepdad, and his stepdad then stopped organizing by the time Boots he wasn't even around. Like, he wasn't alive. So by the time Boots even come on the scene, and then you got to think, he said public defender. So it's like going from a radical org to a public defender, and then when he said radical, he started naming
bad thing. Why did he say public? I was wondering why he said public defender like it was a bad thing.
I mean, I don't know. Most public defenders I know are not helpful. So, I mean, I think that's a bad thing. I know one white public defender who had some level of politics in Baltimore, but majority of public defenders I know, I mean, again, they might be overworked too, but a lot of the niggas that you see in jail are probably thanks to public defenders that time. So I don't know. But anyway, the point is, like, I'm not sure that you would want to tell people how radical your dad was, and you're radical. Like, do you think Dhoruba would be a public defender?
What's the claim of being a public defender?
Huh?
Well, I'm maybe confused, but
I don't see it as shameful. I do think it isn't. Well, first off, it was seen as a transition. So if you are a public defender who is still a community organizer, still loves your people, still a radical, then all power to you. That's a very hard job to do. So respect. In fact, I very much appreciate it, because we need those. Someone asked, do we have movement lawyers now or civil rights lawyers now compared to back in the day? And like, no, it's actually declined in that way, or it's been co-opted. But it sounds like the way he was describing was a transition. So he started off as this kind of communist organizer, and then he became a public defender. So it's not saying that he kept that communist background and then became a lawyer. It's sounding like this was a transition in his life away from a certain form of organizing and politics into something else. And that I don't agree with. No, I do think it's less radical to go from being a communist organizer to I'm going to be a public defender. I think you have to merge those two worlds.
And I think we've given too much credit to people whenever you say, so you could be a part of the Panthers and can be an opportunist. And then somebody say, oh, he was with the Panther. Then you say he used to be a revolutionary. You don't know that. Like, there's radical orgs where there's a bunch like the perception of law orgs and people's politics. Politics don't mean shit until you actually perform it, especially in conflict and within going through contradictions. So Boots saying his dad, hell, Boots saying he's a communist. Boots saying he's a communist or his dad is a communist. Remember we said the college shit when you can go to college and recreate yourself? Like, this is kind of the same thing. Like, you can't say the man is a communist because he said he's a communist, or his dad was a communist because he said he was like that. Like his older brother who knows his older brother who knows him longer and more than all of us says that dude can say he can't explain communism. He doesn't, and you can see the interviews that you could tell. You can see the Breakfast Club interview. You could tell the dude, like, I don't know if he should be leading PE at this point. So
I think sometimes that happens with people when they feel like something is what they want to do, but they don't really know about it, but they start using terms they don't have the full meaning of. I think people do that a lot because it's a buzzword type of thing.
Yeah, but if you're a millionaire, you got power. That's a different story. Like I think for the regular people, when we make decisions and we got contradiction, that's one thing. But when you actually are in position of power, like you got money you can throw around, you control people's living situations, you pay them, like that's a different. Like they don't get the same grace as a person who are not wielding power. Because even when you bring it, and people work with Boots, when you bring it to this attention, there's contradictions that people are unwilling to address, because when you got the following and the money, like you could pretty much smash dissension. So Boots can say the people who got real grievances, they're just disgruntled or whatever. So I don't know. I think once you start abusing power, you don't really get the pass of like, oh, everybody go through this and whatever. Like he's willfully doing something. Yeah, like Boots should get the same energy, or not, if not more, than what her name is, India.Arie.
India.Arie. I mean, I agree. I will say like I said, I be on Threads, and I had been seeing like this back and forth he was having with this girl named Keandra that to me was kind of messy and all over the place. And I do think that he is very defensive of his work sometimes, that can make it difficult for people to want to like consume his art, because he is a little aggressive with it. Like, I don't think people should that's why I think that celebrities and stuff shouldn't always be online commenting on every single thing. I think people take it too seriously, and then you come off like an asshole because you're doing too fucking much. And I just don't think it'd be that serious. Like, people can have their opinions. You're an artist, you're putting something out. Obviously, people are gonna like critique it and have their opinions about it. Imagine thinking I shop at the fucking Whole Foods, nigga. I shop at Kroger. I'm black. I'm not saying black.
I think Black trying to trolling us. It also said
he probably is trolling. I don't care.
They can't wait to debate that they what was it? Can't wait to Chancellor debate. He's wrong about what he said because Lorcan and Amber are bourgeois socialists. I think this person's trolling.
What's a bourgeois socialist?
Not me. That's what it is.
I don't know. You mean bougie? I'm a little bougie, but that's just because I was raised on people.
What's Kroger? You gotta be regional, Amber.
What's Kroger? Kroger's Kroger.
People don't know what that is. It's about to say Publix and somebody living.
It's a grocery. It's a regular ass grocery store that regular niggas shop at. I don't shop at Whole Foods because they don't be having basic shit. I'd be like, why y'all be trying to make everything smart? I'm like healthy, overly healthy, with all these extra ass names. I don't care about that. Can I just go buy some eggs and not have to choose between 8 different kinds because y'all got farms and shit y'all getting the eggs from? I think, yeah. But also, I'm cheap. So as a cheap person, I'm not shopping at Whole Foods. Like, I'm not doing that. It's not for me. But I do, just going back to Geechee's original point, now that we've discussed it more and I'm thinking about it, I do agree that people do go and reinvent themselves places. I do think I missed the opportunity, but it's cool. It's cool. But I do think people reinvent themselves. And I feel like I noticed that the most with, I want to turn my camera back on, sorry. I feel like I noticed that the most with politicians, like when I've been, not just politicians, but like also even like entrepreneurs, people who are in like C-suite or like businessmen or whatever, like the story they create about themselves is really like a small fraction of who they actually are. And a lot of times when I find out stuff about people, I'd be like, that's so crazy. I never would have known that. Like, finding out that Clarence Thomas is Gullah Geechee and speaks Gullah Geechee, and like organize or something.
That's your people, Geechee.
Hey, this girl read his whole biography on TikTok. She had researched
That's
everything.
your people.
Jim Clyburn?
Huh?
You mean Jim Clyburn?
No, Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court Justice.
Oh, Geechee, you got more in the family.
That's not what he said about himself. I don't know, but I just think that they be
Those niggas walking around and say that they Native Americans. So you really gonna?
Nah, he says he was raised Gullah Geechee in the community of Pinpoint, Georgia. Gullah was his first language.
I don't know, man.
He said he
He
got
was organizing clothing drives to support Black people.
When he moved to Savannah, he got teased for his Geechee accent. Yo,
that's weird.
And then
Savannah is where the Geechee accent is at. So I don't know how you're gonna get teased from Savannah.
He must have been around the whites. You know him.
Yeah, he was going to an all-white school. He was going to an all-white private school.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I don't know this guy.
But my whole point was that we really don't know shit about people for real. We only know the things that they be telling us. And I think that's what's so scary to me about like sometimes being in a community with people. You really don't know for real sometimes. Like I'm just giving you ultimate trust until you like break that. But then you'll meet somebody family member and they be telling you shit and they be like, oh my God, I never knew anything, like knew none of this shit. I went to somebody's wedding one time. I found out so much shit about them. Never even knew it. Because they literally had reinvented themselves and like only been this version of themselves like in the city they moved to. So we didn't know none of this stuff about them. It wasn't like necessarily bad stuff, but it was a little alarming because I feel like, do you think people don't like you? Like if you told us like you actually worked, then people wouldn't like you. Like I think that's where I kind of get thrown off a bit. Like you don't trust us enough to like be your actual self. I do think that's like a general principle for me in relationships. Like I'm trusting that the way that I show up is cool and that y'all gonna, receive it. Because as a person with ADHD, I have never masked except for at work sometimes. But with my friends, I've always been like this. And they know that I'm chaotic like this. And I would rather know that they like me like this than like this other souped up version of myself. That's not really me. Because that's lame.
Yeah. Agreed.
But that was my 1 2 cents. I do agree with what Geechee said. Basically, that's all I was trying to say. And then I think it sucks. I think it sucks that people can't trust folks enough to be their true selves and like have actual honest relationships.
Yeah.
Just like Geechee knows, I'm very tall in person.
Trust and verify.
Or once you find out people are their true selves, you can trust them, trust that they are who they show you to be, and then you can handle the gas accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why trust and verify. I think that's the way to move. Somebody says something, do they show up that way when you see them? Do they show up that way to everyone in their life? That's another question, right? Like, are you got this energy for some people, and then I talk to someone else and they say they had a horrible experience with you. So I think that's a good way to approach it. But it is a little past. It's now getting close to 9:20. Are y'all ready for some news? You want to hop into that? Got some stories to cover.
Yes, Lord. Go ahead, moderate.
This America 250 journey. So let's get into it. Peace and good morning. You are joined by Lorik, Amber, and Geechee. This is Friday Remix. We're going to get into some stories. We had some great
conversations. Like, comment, subscribe.
Of course. Shout out to our new member, John Brown Spirit, in the building with us today. It's, what we need as America comes up on 250 years of terrorism. Speaking of...
I was going to say America too before we got cut off.
You want to say... yeah, well... If we get to strike it, it's worth it.
I mean, country. Sorry. Let me edit it.
Well, you got to be careful. So the first story I wanted us to cover, there is a longer 15-minute video on this exact story, and it's been around for a while. The NSPM-7 memo. So they got I want to be clear. The person speaking is a surveillance expert or something along those lines. So that's why their politics sounds kind of wonky the entire time. But they are speaking about this new watch list. COINTELPRO never ended, as many of our revolutionary elders and ancestors told us. It's only evolving over time, becoming more clandestine or moving to different departments. So this is the United States government is afraid of a class war, always have been. So a lot of the way this dude frames this is like this is new stuff, but it really isn't. And so let's get into the story. A new mass surveillance and intimidation campaign is taking place across the country. His goals by unassuming 5-character name and SPM-7, short for National Security Presidential Memorandum 7. The government isn't using it to fight powerful foreign entities. Okay. NSPM-7 is being used here on American soil, and its alleged enemies are everyday Americans working everyday American jobs. Trump calls them the enemy within. So the framing on this is weird, but even the name More Perfect Union, and it's about union organizing, but it's very liberal, y'all. So like this whole
class war. If you're doing surveillance, that means you already in war. Like they already war.
Right.
They war. Like the war already started. Like yes.
And this American soil against some refugees. Can you believe they surveil American people, everyday Americans? Oh God, no way! They've never done this before. So shout out Dr. CBS, Black Scare, Red Scare, all these things we have recording this kind of history. And yeah, this is a little bit more of the story here.
National security, but the profits and feelings of corporate America.
This is telling the Justice Department, the FBI, the DEA, the Secret Service, all these agencies, hey guys, we have to focus on this.
The price of gas, food, childcare, everything is going up. And to see something that characterizes class-based or economic grievances as an indicator of terrorism or a dangerous belief is really shocking.
The goal isn't protecting national security, but the
Sorry, I had to hop off cam for a bit. I'll be right back. Unlike foreign terrorism, our justice system doesn't have a legal definition for domestic terrorism. Okay, again, this framing is going to drive me crazy. NSPM-7's wide definition of terrorist activity allows the Trump administration to criminalize peaceful political opposition, people who oppose data centers, people fighting inequality, and other citizens engaging in class-related organizing can be labeled as terroristic threats. Well, that's always been the case. Again, this reporting makes it seem like that's new, which I find frustrating. But regardless, we're just here for the information. Just important to keep that in mind when we teach people media literacy, how to read a certain story and get like the ideology that the reporter is coming from. So many fear that Trump will weaponize the administration, will weaponize the vague, previously undefined domestic terrorism label to intimidate and silence his critics. He's
These
already
words are
doing
so
that.
small, I can't see.
Many also see NSPM-7 as a threat to freedom of speech. No problem.
Yeah, so I was leaked a copy of the Department of Homeland Security's strategy, and it had a new term, class-based or economic grievances. They're worried about terrorism as defined by class-based or economic grievances. And typically, when you have a counter-terror approach, that's supposed to be focused on groups like Al-Qaeda or ISIS. So this is something that you don't want to be deploying against U.S. residents or U.S. citizens. And it's defined around, again, these terms that would define probably most of the people I know. I mean, who is happy with the economic state of affairs? Probably relatively few people, probably a minority.
The vast expansion of authorities has terrifying implications, according to Ken.
So under this counterterrorism approach, they have a lot more authority than police normally have because they don't have to go to a judge. They can just say, oh, these indicators predict that something might be committed later. Yeah, so I was leaked a copy of the Department of Homeland Security's
Amber, you want to pick up? Can you read this now? I zoomed in a little bit.
Thanks to NSPM-7, the government is creating a watch list of citizens they can now deem subversives.
Subversives, maybe.
Subversives and domestic terror threats, the qualifications, class grievances, anti-tech Semitism, example, exposing data centers AI. They put me on the list. Anti-Christian sentiment, advocating for religious freedom, anti-traditional family value settlement, advocating for gender equality, LGBTQ rights. Goddamn. Anti-Americanism. Oh, we're going down. Critiquing President Trump, extremism on migration, race, or gender, teaching a class on feminism. Oh, that's
Wow, would you look at that? The feds think feminist. That's interesting. That's interesting
it's so
stuff.
wild. I think it's interesting that
Mm,
the anti-Americanism example was critiquing President Trump versus critiquing the country or talking shit about the country.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
That's
interesting.
funny. Yeah,
Not surprising because I mean of who Trump is, but interesting.
it's the whole kitchen sink, as Leah said in the chat. Yeah, everybody, you can go through, guys. Make a checklist. How many did you get? Let's play a game. Out of the 6, how many are you? I'm definitely 6 out of 6, unfortunately. Uh, for the surveillance list, but this is not new. I actually was going to ask, if somebody asked y'all about COINTELPRO, do you have a specific resource you point them to, or anything that you use to teach people? Because I know someone might be alarmed at this, and again, this frames it like it's new, and they're not going to go into that history of it. Someone already said Patriot Act, which was, shout out Obama and Bush, but right before this. But anything y'all have, do y'all have any resources on COINTELPRO that you share with people? I have some to share, so just curious.
I mean, I don't think there's anything in particular. What I found, like, there's normally a collection of things that I might share, but it really depends on what the person is saying or where they're at or what their interests are. I don't. There's no like blanket one thing that I send to people.
Got you. Amber, do you have any resources you like to give people on COINTELPRO at all? Or
I don't have a specific resource. I kind of talk about the FBI files that got leaked about it, but like you should look into these because my favorite, one of my favorite special interest topics is that like there's government documents you can read that are like unsealed after so much time or whatever. So I point people to stuff like that, but nothing like super specific other than that. And my bad, I gotta go off camera for a second because my back hurt. I need to stand around or stand up and like talk while we're doing this.
Nah, you're good. Please, yeah, get up, stretch.
I need an accommodation.
Yeah. I was gonna share the ones I go to because I also am somebody who, when someone introduces a topic, I like to have like an intro kind of overview resource so that they can explore themselves, and also so it doesn't seem like, oh, this is just Josh's thoughts or opinions, because I get really tired of those bad faith critiques. So one of the ones I appreciated is this article. It's called COINTELPRO Revisited: Spying and Disruption by Brian Glick. As you can see, it's not the most updated website, but the article itself is really, really introductory, straightforward, and full of information. It's a bit of an overview, and I love this format where it's a question and answer thing. That is probably one of my favorite formats for any sort of PE explaining stuff. It might be hard to see on the screen, but it just goes in order. So there's questions. What was COINTELPRO? How do we know about it? How did it work? Who are the main targets? And so I think it's interesting to point out the main targets that they talk about was like the Communist Party, in Puerto Rico independence fighters, Socialist Workers Party, the New Left is what they call it, which would be these radical anti-war, feminists, environmentalist movements. And then they say white hate groups, but it actually goes on to talk about how that's not really true. White hate groups never really got that kind of surveillance. If anything, they were used as assets for extra legal care.
White hate group organized COINTELPRO.
Exactly, right. That's also they just lesser white hate groups, essentially, or white vigilantes is what we could call it. But these actually aren't here. But the American Indian movement was surveilled. So I honestly, when I teach it, I replace white hate groups with the American Indian movement. Black nationalist hate groups received more than 90% of the operations of COINTELPRO. So we were definitely the main targets. New Left. But yeah, that's it. So I love this resource. It's again COINTELPRO Revisited: Spying and Disruption by Brian Glick. There's also on YouTube.
I love websites like that too that have the questions. I do think it's easier for folks to understand.
Yeah, I love this article. It truly is written very, very direct. It even talks about, the what do we do question. It talks about the different forms of intimidation they went through: burglary, vandalism, surveillance, grand juries, these kinds of approaches. And it just goes through that history more. For video, if someone doesn't want to read the article or would prefer to do video, actually on affiliate platform BPM, COINTELPRO, the FBI's war on Black America. But this documentary, it's about 47 minutes long. I've seen it as well. It's a specific focus on our people. But my go-to is actually from Freedom Archives. Shout out Freedom Archives. It's called COINTELPRO 101. And the reason I like it is, again, it's an overview. It has people who are involved in the struggle, people who are directly surveilled, and it talks about how these movements are linked. And I would argue, as I do many times, like you can't understand Native struggle without understanding Black struggle and vice versa. So I don't think you can understand COINTELPRO without understanding all of the groups that were being surveilled and oppressed and why the FBI, the U.S. intelligence state, saw them as enemies. So a big thing it talks about is, as much as we were surveilled here domestically, Puerto Rico, a colony, was also deeply surveilled and had tons and tons and tons of FBI files on their intelligence program, which is why when you read Asada, you see that she actually is super excited in prison when she runs into one of her revolutionary role models in Lolita LeBron, who was a Puerto Rican independentista. So I think that's always funny, the struggles being linked here. So Puerto Rican independence movement, communist labor organizers, anti-war activists, and of course, Black liberation fighters, and even civil rights folks. And it will always be posted in the show description, but I will link in the chat to the COINTELPRO 101 video right now for folks who are interested.
So I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So you said you talked earlier about like African centered, right? And there's a or African centric or centered. I don't know if there's a difference between centered and centric, but it makes me think about the advent of written history versus oral history, and then how a lot of people saying, like, the Europeans have us. I hope this don't come out wrong. It's almost like we more loyal to the written word than they are. Like it's like you. I mean, I've seen Black folks who can write laws and bylaws, and it's like if you don't have any power to force them to enforce it, then it's like it doesn't really matter who said what, right? And then not only that, but people like I wonder what you think has happened from your experience. Like you said, these are documents you show. What have people reading these documents, learning these things, learning about documentaries, what have it done? Like does it like they're like, oh, that's interesting, and now I'm going to be an organizer, or I'm going to do whatever. Like what do you feel like happens once people start to learn more about? Because again, I know some niggas who know about COINTELPRO up and down, and they still full of shit. In fact, they look like they would probably be working with COINTELPRO. But yeah.
Well, I can't. That's an interesting question.
I had to pop back right for that because you're right.
To that point, with people's own individual contradictions and whatnot, I can't speak to those. My point is, I use these in an organizing context for political education specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what I've found it most useful for, because when people are exposed to a topic, for example, the civil rights movement, I do think everyone has their own way of teaching and pedagogy and all of that, but having introductory resources that are valid, right, that actually can point you to valuable information is important.
That they can actually use.
Right. So for me, I run into people who have never seen this or have only heard about this as like a vague government conspiracy or through, word of mouth over time, not oral tradition, just word of mouth. I'm not trying to say that you can't have historical narratives passed down that way. So most of the time it is people who are actually studying to be organizers. And the way I use it is primarily to say that all of these cultural narratives, like what we even saw from India Ari, are incomplete if we do not explain that there is a war on our people. And the only way I've seen as the most effective way to do that is to use the people waging the war and their actual archives, because that is how we even found out about COINTELPRO, was the Citizens Commission to investigate the FBI. They broke in trying to get rid of draft documents and found out they were surveilling all of these groups. And so having that archival history, I think, is one important. Now, if people, again, you're talking to them and they have their own mental gymnastics and ignore those, like, cool, I can't really do much with that. But for most folks, like, seeing the archives is not something they get to do ever. So that's my first thing. One, if you just get all the archival information, it's fucking mountains of documents, as we see with the Epstein files, the Panama Papers, the Pentagon Papers, all these things get leaked, and there's just too much information. So I'm already interested in the people who have taken time, gone through the archives, and made it accessible for people. So if that's the COINTELPRO Revisited, like Brian Glick did, I love that. When we went over the Epstein files, it's the jmail.world page, which went through the Epstein files and organized them like a Gmail. So you can go through and search like an actual email account. Those kind of resources I appreciate, and I think in an organizing context are super valuable. But as we critiqued Boots for earlier, just throwing it out in the street, like, that don't work. Just like, that's why I'm critical of debate as a concept. Like, if I were to just debate somebody, if they're already convinced of their point of view and they just want to do John Hope Bryant and sell me black capitalism, me showing them explicitly that COINTELPRO is a thing isn't going to do anything for that person. But if we're in an audience full of black people, I will then do it because I'm trying to convince our people. And I think that's more helpful, because they'll be like, okay, there's this nigga trying to sell me a book, and then there's this nigga who's actually serious and has information and is only sharing it because he cares about me. So
Debate is an organizing tactic and a political education tactic.
yes, when it is done in the context where we
In the
can
right
move
way.
people, right? Yeah, like the great Harlem debates that Jared's posting. I think those things are great. But I would prefer, debate in a context where we can move people to something after, some sort of call to action, whether that's join an organization, support a specific cause. I invite you to study more, come to a study group where we're going to talk about this more. Yeah. But on its own, debate is just intellectual masturbation. Like, people are just going to talk at each other, and
It's a great dopamine boost.
yeah, it really is. Thank you. And we're like, that's what the Jubilee shit. It really is addiction.
But I don't want,
right.
Either one of y'all like engage in formal debates?
I did debate a little bit in high school, my 9th grade year. That's where a lot of my critique comes from.
Because I don't want people to mistake debating with like niggas just arguing on the street. They say they debating, but that's like you know, like a formal debate. I mean, and then the topics is also another thing. Like, if the topics is something silly, that's another conversation. But like, people need to see their ideas struggled with, because most people are too. I didn't want to use those words, but most people don't have the capacity to engage in struggle and actually be wrong. And so seeing your ideas get shredded where you don't have to personally be in there could be helpful. And most of the time is helpful, even when it's not something that you immediately say, oh shit, but you sit with those things. Like, you know for a fact, when you get into a conversation with somebody and you go back and forth, after the conversation over, 2 minutes later, 3 days later, you're like, damn, I should have said that. Oh, I ain't thought about this, because that's happen. So it's definitely useful when the topics are important and you have a varying sides. So one of the things we used to do at Barter and Build, we used to survey for topics, and then once we have the topic, we get a spectrum of politics. So we get somebody on the left, somebody a little right here, and then you have left to center, and we have all of them on a platform together, and it's structured in a way to where everybody get to get their words out, and that way you don't say, well, I never said that. No, you got a whole particular point to say what you said. I ask clarifying questions, and then we get into the struggle, and it's structured in a way where, you know, I think it's beneficial for people who, and I know it's beneficial for people, because I had constant people always inboxing me like, damn, I ain't never really thought about that. And in other ways, you can't really tell people things directly. Sometimes you have to create environments for people to hear you better. So yeah.
Yeah, I can agree in that way, but even like the way formal debate is. First off, one of my favorite movies of all time is The Great Debaters. Shout out that movie. I don't know how it got made. It's Oprah and Denzel. I don't know, like they had a weird synergy where they made a movie about a communist labor organizer, and I guess it kind of works for Black excellence.
Whoa.
But yeah, it's a great movie. Denzel is a communist labor organizer, Melvin Tolson, who teaches Black students at HBCU speech and debate so that they could go compete, and they eventually go and beat them white boys at Harvard. But
Not just talking about The Great Debaters.
that is a great movie. Again, good.
It's
good
an amazing movie.
It's an amazing movie. But even in that movie, right? Like I love how they approach it. It's like they're saying we're just arguing a bunch of shit that we already agree on. Like they're debating welfare, and they're like, okay, listen, we all know welfare is needed for our people. Like what are we doing here? Right? Like, why is this? We all agree on this kind of thing. We're a bunch of Negroes debating stuff we agree to. And that was when he has them do their monologue. Who's the judge? The judge is God. Who is the enemy? Just basically people who lie. And so the idea is you're speaking truth and people are spreading lies. And the whole point of debate is to reveal truth. I think in that sense, in that framing, absolutely sure. But we know that European derived debate is not about that. It really is about rhetorical strategy and how good you are at arguing your point of view and that kind of thing. So I agree with you.
To win,
right, and to win, and to
win. We talk like for instance, like Mary Lefkowitz, when her and John Henry Clark debate. I mean, they like, and then they had Martin Bennett. It was a couple other people, but when you put them in the room, same thing with John Henry Clark and Molefi Asante and Kwame Ture. Like I think even Molefi won. They made it look like he won because he was like more popular. But when you go back and watch the film, like the thing about debate and once you record it, like it could be vindicated in the future. Like you can win, you could be the nigga who won, and then 10 years later, everybody realized like, no, you actually lost. You had the crowd and you was doing all the tricks, but you ain't said shit, right? And so that's kind of what I'm saying. Like when you put it down, you can come with the most, decorated way of delivering your message and doing all the like Diallo jokes when he say he's a masturbator, but it's not going to take away from if you say something that's factually incorrect, or you know what I mean, like you can.
But in debate, you're allowed to do that though. Like that's the thing, because
allowed to do what?
Say factually incorrect stuff. Like there's not a fact checker there. That's another thing. I
mean, technically, but when we were in debate, no, like they were like, we're arguing with the facts and information we did research from. I guess if somebody doesn't fact check it in real time, but we had judges and shit.
That's why you got to have a spectrum of people on there. Like you got to have, like you can't, like you said, you can't have two people who already agree on the thing, and you just like. You have to have somebody. If somebody say, well, like recently, they'd be like, well, the Gullah people, we was native and whatever. And I'm like, well, what year did that start? And they was like, this date. I'm like, well, if these people specifically capture these people to bring rice, for them to grow rice over here at this date, before that date, so that wouldn't make sense, right? Like, so you can know, like, yeah. Go ahead.
I agree. Yes, if people are operating from the same set of facts and appeal to the same authorities, but that's just typically not the case. Even if we're talking about like high school debate, right? Like, okay, somebody brings their Associated Press or any sort of Western corporate news, and that's going to be seen as a valid source. And that source says that the Uyghur Muslims were being, all of that. It's just a source. But my point is, like, if the judges themselves are already predisposed to that kind of narrative, then they're going to accept that is true, even though it's going to take a lot more information, a lot more research to go against the hegemonic narrative, right? So one, it's assuming that you have the resources to even research, find all of the Black Agenda reports out there, the Cowsections News that have real journalism, and that it's going to be accepted by an audience that's already primed, like we just talked about with COINTELPRO, to not accept what you're talking about, and by judges who are already going to be biased against what you're talking about. So I agree, if we're talking in a sense like maybe this is in a space where the judges, quote unquote, are revolutionary, sure. But when we're talking about the Great Harlem Debate that Jared is going to repost soon, and that he talks about, like, the audience was predisposed toward Obama. The media environment was saying support Obama. So many things were saying to support Obama. I think historically, you're right. We can go back now and be like, well, what were the arguments that Glenn Ford and Marimba Ani were making? Why were they valid? Yes,
It was clear just as was then back then as now.
Sure. So it might be useful for that purpose, but I do not think that people in the crowd, if we're talking about getting people aligned, are being swayed away from where hegemony is pulling them toward. I don't think it was doing that. I actually don't think it was that good of an intervention in that way. I think the majority of people are still going to be swayed because of how debate is a spectacle. And you have people up there blustering, and this is what do you mean? And how can you be black? And it's our time. And they're slamming the table and all that shit. I do think that is going to have an effect on people versus do it the way we talked about, make it a roundtable discussion or something like that. But I think debate automatically. Go ahead. Sorry. That's just
No. I hear that. I'm gonna clean up your little Chomsky slip. All the journalism is real, and journalism has objectives, and those journals that they are sourced, and just like we said with the boots, they could be inaccurate. And so I of course, whenever if people want to, and you could you could teach, like you could do the 20 versus 1 thing, and you could see 2 liberals, and you could still use it and critique it and share it. But for people on the left, you definitely want a left analysis perspective, African-centered perspective on whatever topic is being had. That's just the bottom. And then even in that, there's divergence in African-centered, because if EYL, the little one, if they give their narrative, they're Africans and they're centering Africans, and they're working with Africans over there in Ghana trying to sell niggas a dream, and they have a Pan-African, African-centered tech, and it's still not what we have. And so, and again, this is why we was trying to do that with Bart and Build. Like, it's important to have at least one person represented in every stream of thought, so you can see them in dialogue. And
yeah, I agree, but there's ways to do that, and there's other forms of speech and debate. Since we're talking formally, right? It's not always 2 people or a pair of people debating another pair of people. There's Lincoln Douglas. There's all the different styles. So sometimes you're just giving the speech, and then the speech itself is judged. The way that Baba Kalimat shows us conferences, it would be different people would provide speeches and give their point of views. So it'd be like you would say your view in 40, you'd have 45 minutes sometimes to do your speech and lay it all out, and then another point of view would come, and then another point of view, and so on and so forth. So it does not always have to be 2 people yelling back and forth at each other, or 2 people sitting with their sources in a limited time and space trying to convince the audience who's right or wrong.
Like plenaries, or
maybe that's what it's called. All I know is they were conferences, but maybe plenary is another term.
I feel like I just see people use plenaries in that way.
Lenin, like, you got to look at debate how Lenin look at electoral politics. Your goal ain't there to win. You win, cool. Your goal is there to put your line out before the people and let the people decide. And you're gonna do that every day. You're gonna show up every day and do that shit. So that's
I agree.
That's why Jared, if you call Jared coming. He old as shit. He's still coming. He gonna come.
But then Lenin had a people's army to organize them into. This is my thing. The people are going to have something they're trying to organize you into. Well, when he's doing these major speeches, what is to be done and all that, like, you got them, but they got an army. So when these debates happen, these people are trying to organize you into something, whether that be the Democratic Party, whether that be their liberal think tank, whether that be a form of consumerism, buying their product, right? So that becomes the other point of debate. On its own, it's a idealist exercise. Like, it's just European thought. You just get up there and you're trying to, again, impress people, show dominance in the field of knowledge. But when we're talking about what you're describing, that is to move people into something. And I think that is why we can't approach it the exact same way as it's just like putting your thoughts out there. I agree, putting a line out there, sure, to move people into a certain way of thinking, certain form of action, and then hopefully an organization. Because in this famous debate, and I talked to Layla and Jared about it because their students watch it differently. I think depending on your orientation, you'll watch it differently. But there are still people who watch the Kwame Ture Molefe Asante debate and think Asante won. And I'm seeing one of these brothers was talking greasy to me the other day in the chat. Here we go. The Honorable Ture lost that discussion. It's okay. Again, if you're like, again, people will watch it and whatever views they had before, sure. But my point is this. Kwame Ture had the AAPRP. It's still around. So his point was to organize you into that. Molefe Asante also has something to organize you into, though. It is an institution. It is Afrocentricity, that school of thought at Temple University. And it has produced so many problems for us. It is where we get Isabel Wilkerson and that caste bullshit from. It is producing an entire school of thought that lives beyond just that debate and that orients people toward a certain view of struggle. So the fact that, again, people watch that debate and are like, it's crazy. I thought that debate was a speech. Because when the first time I saw it, I only saw Kwame Ture speaking because I only saw an edit where it was just him. When I saw that it was a debate and I listened to the full thing, and I'm like, this is not like Asante is getting smacked in this debate. But because certain people are oriented toward cultural nationalism, because I think certain people ignore just the class analysis and even how they're introduced in that debate, they're like, yeah, I see still people who come away from that. Jared talks about his students will walk away from that like, yeah, I think Asante won, or I think Asante made the most sense. And that's just, to me, I'm like, yeah, we should have just done a study group.
Yeah, I think you always going to have something to, now you might not have an organization, but you're always going to be organizing people's thoughts into accepting the current social order or changing the social order.
Isn't that
So
the
it's
whole
like-
purpose of like the U.S. and propaganda?
Yeah.
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 So like that's what I'm saying. But like even anybody who's getting to the point where they're debate, I'm telling you, they either got a following, they got people around, they got something they engage in, and they are wanting you to come to the same conclusion so you could do the same thing. Now, how organized they are, again, there are some people who debate and talk and whatever, and they can. That's why I need the concept of organization. It could make you more effective as an organizer, or it could hinder you as an organizer, depending on the organization. So people can lead you into organizations, and that's not going to be always a good thing. Like you could go, like Carbonation, niggas got led into Carbonation. Jim Jones, like, organized people into his, like there was an organization. Now the organization just happened to be a cult, but they all thought they was going to respond to their social and material conditions, and joining this group is going to change their social and material conditions.
Now I will say, since we're talking about cults, ever since I found out cults weren't illegal, I have wanted to start one.
Okay.
That's all. I'm just saying, I just feel like the people might follow me. They might really believe this shit.
I'm gonna convince people. I'm gonna get you on a debate, and it'll convince people that you're not.
This week I was on a Zoom call, and somebody said they were a loyal disciple of the teachings of Amber Sherman. And I said, that's so crazy. I should start a call.
To be dialectical, I understand where you're coming from. I also do think if we had two people who, because that was the thing in the Great Debaters when they talked about they were on the same side of things, and that way that helped them sharpen the arguments more, because you can argue from your enemy's point of view. And I think that is also a very valuable exercise as well. So if we are both politicized and I want to model how to deal with an FBA or ADOS without inviting the cult into the space to recruit people, to spread lies and misinformation, then I think that is a form of debate that we can entertain. And I know on this channel, there was a version where wasn't the most successful, but Jared went on Black Myths and Two Black tried to argue from the perspective of a community member against his book. And to say, this is the kind of pushback I think you're going to get. And so it was to model a form of debate that shows what kind of thing Jared is probably going to encounter from folks who are in good faith, mind you, not a John Hope Bryant who's getting paid to say dumb shit, but people who are in good faith and might push back against him. So I think those forms of debates can be helpful too. So if I'm going to try and show you, hey, this is even from the start, what we started with today with Obama and the George Washington thing, right? That's not new, right? Obama says that stuff. I could have
he says something
gone
like that
to
all the
sleep.
time.
Yeah, everybody, because that's an old ass argument. That's why it's so easy to see black liberals and conservatives because parrot white liberals and conservatives. So that's something white people have been saying in defense of the founding fathers for centuries now, literally centuries. Yeah, they were slave owners, but they were also great men, or you got to judge them by the times, or whatever. So there's a list of talking points that these people go off of to spread their propaganda. So if I were to model a debate, rather than inviting Obama in there to debate, which would have all sorts of psychological effects on the audience, boom, 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 I might have two people from an organization, one person who understands, American history,
Or theory.
and another person, right, and another person who does too, and is going to argue. So I would argue pretending to be from Obama's perspective. So I would be the one telling you, well, you can't judge him by that. He did some great things. He wrote some great documents. And then we could be in the same organization, could be like, well, did he was scalping Native kids when he was 16 years old and raping black people and taking their teeth for his dentures, right? And I think that is a way that will move the debate toward the point you're talking about versus basically debating a terrorist and hoping that the audience will be able to sift through the truth and figure that out. Well,
I think also I'm always, when people say that like there's good we can argue about like George Washington, I don't be seeing it. What documents did he write that was good? Because all the shit he was doing, leading the Revolutionary War and all that stuff, was just so they could colonize a place and lead the people who they felt were oppressive. But they was doing the same thing. I don't feel like winning means that you were good at it necessarily. It was still bad.
Yeah, that is the whole American mythology. He represents a founding father, America's patriarchy, right? Like that. He's good because he fought against the British. So it's like, don't look at all the natives and Africans he was oppressing. Look at the British, who were, I guess, oppressors too. But then Gerald Horne turns that history on its head with Counter-Revolution 1776 and so on and so forth. So, yeah.
I see y'all took my cult comments seriously. Those were funny in the chat. I'm not going to hold you, but I was just joking about the cult, you guys. That requires so much work. I wouldn't even put that much labor into that.
Yeah. Well, this is a discussion about being extraordinarily violent. I had this convo with my brother when we were younger, where he was like, these people are called civilizers, or like they were great men and they were so great, and European society was so advanced. And when we're talking about advanced, what do we mean? Usually we're just talking about they were really good at terrorizing and killing people. Like that was how advanced they were. They knew biological warfare, which is like give innocent people smallpox blankets, right? Is that genius, or is that just exceptionally violent and evil? And so often when they talk about Europeans having more advanced technology, they're not talking about, the Europeans were better at washing their ass, because we know that wasn't the case. It's like, no, they invented unique ways to kill people at scale. And that happened from, hundreds of years of wars within the continent that shaped their political economy and things like that. We do have a super chat. Yes. Our thumbnails are random. Geechee, who was yours? Yours was Claudia Jones just now. Was that who that was?
Yeah.
And then sometimes I get Jared's mic, and then sometimes we get Renee.
I don't know. I don't know why it does that. It's so weird.
Well,
but thank you for the super chat.
Because we all sharing the thing, and you have to click it, and you have to edit avatar, and you got to pick your avatar. So I can pick Amber.
But I do that though. Every time we get on, I add my little avatar.
All I'm saying is you're gonna have to do it every time, Amber. Look, I just did yours. See?
Why is yours up?
Wow.
All you gotta do is edit the avatar, and this Zinzi, and this is this, and this my little thing. And there it
This
is.
is too much. I don't like all this.
That's funny.
Anyways,
yeah.
I just had to go off camera anyway, so it doesn't matter. And thanks for the unwanted advice in the chat. I'm fine. I just need to walk around, like Dre said.
Get a stretch and all that. We are at 10
o'clock. Unwanted advice, Amber. See,
because they was telling me to take shots of Hennessy and all this other shit.
Well, Amber,
I need to walk.
You know why they gave you advice?
Why?
Because you mentioned it on camera. And when you mention it on camera, then they think that they can
I
solicit.
didn't want advice. I only mentioned it on camera so it wouldn't be weird when I went off camera for the rest of the stream. That was all. Because
Thank
I'm
you.
literally just walking around in circles. I'm fine. I don't need any unwanted advice. I just don't want y'all acting weird. Y'all be taking everything as an attack or like somebody's trying to, do something towards me. So I didn't want y'all to think anything was happening. It was my choice.
No shots of Hennessy, please. That's not gonna make you feel any better. Yeah, but
And the nigga that said I want to be idolized so bad in the chat is so crazy because it's a million motherfuckers idolizing me every day. I don't even need that.
Amber's cult coming soon. Amber's cult coming soon. Y'all be on the lookout. We're gonna have to have an intervention. Nature girl.
Let Amber walk it out. RFP DJ Unk. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
who gonna be your central committee of your cult? The roster.
Y'all, the people saying that the people in the cult gonna be called a roster is so funny to me. I don't know. Maybe I can get like a group of unks and aunties, and I can add you and Lorik as the unks, and then I can recruit.
I ain't joining no more cults. I done got tricked in one before. I ain't going no.
Yeah, I'm also out of cult.
I'm very hyper focused on structures now, and I'm never going to the cult again. I'm gonna try my best.
I'm telling you right now, people be getting in the cults and not even realizing it at first, and then you too deep in. How you gonna get out?
That's how it goes. Amber's roster. Watch the cults coming soon. But to close, I think I don't think it's inherently bad on its own form. I do think there's some Euro kind of male debate bro culture that needs to be purified from a space before you can do it. And then as long as you mix it with other stuff, right? Some people, debate might be a form they can learn from. It was helpful for me, definitely. But for other people, a study group is possible. As Amber said, a plenary, a round table, just late night conversations, a blunt rotation, right? Whatever it takes. It doesn't have to just be this one form. I think you should have a variety of ways of sharing knowledge and then find the ones that work best for you. So we are a little bit in overtime. I didn't know if y'all had any stories you wanted to cover. I wanted to.
Nope, it's giving wrap it up.
All right, word. I did want to shout out two things as America 250 will be harassing
they finna cut up this weekend.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to hang on.
I said, y'all so excited about y'all lame ass country.
For real, man. It's all over the place too. Downtown, it's gross. So much red, white, and blue. Two things to read. Let me see if I can find them though. That's what's blowing me. Hang on. 1 second, y'all. If there's anything in the chat to address, let me know. Somebody talked about the atheism point of view. We can talk about that next episode. Kayo Snacka. I'm open to hearing it, or you can always leave me a comment on the video with your issue or email me, and I'm cool to talk about it. All right. Two things I wanted us to close with, if possible. One, for our people, if you haven't heard of this, cool. If you have, just a great time to bring it back. Of course, Frederick Douglass's What to the Slave is the 4th of July, July 5th, 1852. He writes to the president, fellow citizens. So this is always something we can revisit. It is pretty long, but that's not a problem. It's okay to study this, to read through it, or just even read an excerpt. But I thought it was very powerful. I was rereading through it the other day in preparation. And I appreciated that Douglass, for example, says something like this: it is the birthday of your national independence and of your political freedom. And so when I see Obama do
that
the
part,
royal we and us and our founding fathers, as Malcolm talks about, the new Uncle Tom says we, our Senate, our president, our army. I'm happy that Frederick Douglass made it clear that it is your National Independence Day, your political freedom. And so, again, if you haven't revisited What to the Slave is the 4th of July, Frederick Douglass's speech in 1852, I highly, highly recommend that. and 2 are Native Siblings in Struggle. I also saw a statement from Indian Collective, 250 years of lies, 500 years of uprising. And so, as we know, New Africans and indigenous folk have been in this war together from the beginning. And I appreciated this statement. It's a little bit shorter, so I wanted to know if we were cool reading it, and then we can close out.
Yes, let's definitely read it.
The word, okay. Well, there's 3 sections. Can we split them up? I'll do reflection. Geechee, you want to do resistance, and Amber, you want to do resurgence?
Yep.
I wanted us to give our, because I know we was joking about it a little bit, but I'm willing to push folks to think about the concrete definition of a cult and measure that up with what we think it is. Because I think when we think of cults, we think of also the most, I guess, we exacerbate our, I don't even know what I'm looking for, but we think about it in its worst form or its easily identifiable form. And you don't know, like most people don't know they're in a cult until they find out they're in a cult. And so I don't want to like dismiss and or kind of speak down to people who are truly victims or survivors of cult environment. So it would be cool if we could like get people's general idea of what they think a cult is, even us on a platform. But that's what I was thinking too. But we could also
we can come back to
definition.
Okay.
Like, pull it up, get you or Lord.
Well, I mean, I've been building one myself. I wouldn't even like. Well, you can look up the definition, see what it says, but I think it's easier before we even look up whoever's written word for us to, because all of us using the word, so I think all of us have an idea of what we think it is. So I'm more so curious about what we just generally think a cult is. How do we view the word cult? And that's why I asked a question in the chat too. But I would love to know before
I'm on to this segment, then we can read the statement and close out. Yeah, definitely. So how do you define a cult? Good question. Geechee, did you want to start since you've been working on the definition?
Yeah, so I would say that it's an environment where information is controlled. There's unconditional loyalty to a person or idea, or organization. Like, and this, even if this person or this idea or the organization is wrong, or it's harmful, it's a unconditional loyalty to it. And it's when like a leader or the leadership authority is beyond question, right? Nobody can question the leader. They're able to circumvent any systems of accountability. And yeah, like the loyalty is more currency than principle, right? So being loyal to a leader at the expense of being correct. And I mean, there's tons of other things in there too. And then, yeah, I'll stop there.
Amber, do you have thoughts?
I feel like Geechee's definition is pretty spot on. It made me think of certain places immediately. I would also add, like, with the loyalty part, also willing to use violence to uphold that loyalty.
That's a great point. I think that's a great addition.
But not a requirement, you know.
And violence in all forms.
Right, all forms.
Yeah,
it's also
violence in all
coercive.
forms. Yes.
Yep. No. Yeah, I think y'all got it. I don't. I kind of like this, like what George Jackson says, there's never going to be a clear-cut definition of fascism. It's a moving, working process. So I always appreciate the checklist style of things rather than just this is the definition. So when y'all said some of these things willing to enforce through violence, I think unquestioning loyalty is probably the key indicator because, of course, as the chat is talking about, aren't all these other things called? Isn't MAGA a cult? Isn't the military a cult? Isn't the U.S. itself and loyalty to the U.S. a cult? Absolutely, right? But at a certain point, these things have massive amounts of capital and institutional power to make their cults reality. As Huey Newton says, power is the ability to define a phenomenon, make it act in a desired manner. So I think some of these things are not going to be viewed as cults because they've been so normalized and institutionalized. But to y'all's point, I think when we talk about cult, we're thinking the more easily identifiable examples, which tend to not be the things that are hegemonic or institutional. They tend to be like that things that we can recognize as outside of current power structure, though they don't necessarily have to go against like the common ideology, right? So you can be super patriarchal and sexually violent in a cult. It's actually like pretty common, right? But when you look at the US military, it's also that, right? So I think a lot of times when we talk about cults, they are allowed to flourish in a particular society because they don't challenge the power that already exists in that society. So I think that's another thing that we should point out about cults. It's unquestioning loyalty. It's this ability to reinforce it through violence. It's this way of drawing you in to more and more commitment over time. I think that's a part of it, to where you basically link your livelihood to a thing. And then I also think that it tends to not threaten hegemony as it already exists. It tends to be something that would be okay with what the state is trying to make us do. I think that's another important category. It tends to not be like pushing you in a grounded and revolutionary direction.
Yeah, I only the last part, everything I agree with. The last part I would push back on, because most cults, most effective cults, have convinced the followers that it is pushing back against the state.
Right.
Most cults have a hyper focus on external power analysis, and it has a religiously protection against internal analysis of power dynamics. So they definitely have external, like the world is out there bad, and that's why we need to go build our own, and we need to do all this. Like that's literally the cult 101. That's the start, to convince the people that there's something wrong with the world, and then that y'all niggas is the one that's gonna fix it. And then you know. So yeah, I think that's the one thing I experienced, and one thing I've seen. I've seen organizations all sit in a room and they could talk hours about external power analysis. If you ask them about the internal power analysis of their particular organizations, they start stuttering and stumbling and shit, because it like there's structures are not even in place for them to even do the fucking things that they say they won't do.
Yeah, I agree. I think the internal power analysis is important. I also think when they call fascism is called a false revolution for a reason. So I am like thinking these things similarly, right? So it's this idea that you're doing something that is counter-hegemonic or counterculture when you actually aren't. Some other smaller signs I'll add are just this sort of in-group, out-group behavior that is not serious in terms of clickism, in terms of how it views the other groups and doesn't take them seriously on their own terms. When I talk about FBA and ADOS, that is actually the terms they use for themselves. Like they are a cult in my mind, but I'm not describing them in a way they don't describe themselves. But this brother, who is welcome to come out the chat, come off the keyboard and talk in person, as I've said before, is talking about Asante again, but we're talking about Pan-Africanists, calls us panties. So listen, that kind of behavior to me is what I mean by
first part is actually
panties,
I agree with the first.
Well, sure, the left has cultish tendencies. Of course, there's been cults that actually come from the left, just like the right has cultish tendencies. We're in a society that's capitalist, imperialist, patriarchal. Cults are going to naturally emerge from that. They're hierarchical structures that require unquestioning loyalty. But I will say again, tethers is what ADOS calls other people. They all have terms for their outgroup. Panties. We got called scam Africans the other day. So this kind of behavior to me is very cult-like, ironically. When you
listen, if we did a big ass camp and we took all the people that you consider on the left and you put us in a commune and we got to stay there for a month, you will find out quickly like a lot of motherfuckers is not on the left. Because saying you on the left and having and reading, because like you can sound like you have an analysis by just reading somebody who have a fucking analysis. Like you can repeat stuff. Like I've seen people repeat constantly saying the same shit every day for years, and people believe they have analysis, but in like they're full of shit. So like, so I'm even willing to argue like who the fuck is on the left? Who is the left? Like how and who can determine who's on the left? So when you say the left, some people that people say are on the left, operationally, functionally, is not on the left. Like they're not on the left in their personal relationships, organizational relationship, community relationship. Like, so I don't know. I think sometimes we rate the left as rhetoric. Like niggas have left rhetoric.
Sure, but that's just like, again, that's like how the Nazis were National Socialist, right? I think there's a way you can use a label and not actually be that label, but I don't think that makes us question. Because I have a problem when people say like, "What is the left?" Because I think there's some very clear definitions in this historical trajectory, right? Who is on the left is a matter of practice. Yeah, I agree. But like, what is the left? Because I get that question a lot, and I think it's been clearly defined many times by many people. The BLA as well, but I think even when we talk about Dr. King and we say, well, what was his trajectory, right? He was somebody who was pretty much on the left. He had moved to the left. He wasn't trying to save America. I've integrated my people into a burning house. He was anti-imperialist, and we already know he was fighting racism. So there's a speech by Dr. King that I use when I'm doing a education on what is the left. First, again, just a general overview. I like to tell people where the term even comes from because I had to look it up, and it's from the French National Assembly. Those who supported the monarchy, the current power structure, conservatives, those who wanted to conserve power, were sitting on the right of the assembly. And those who wanted to overthrow the monarchy, and that's a broad umbrella, they could have wanted to replace it with a different form of aristocracy. They could have wanted complete people's democracy, right? Those folks were on the left. And that's the kind of European origin of the term left-right. So I start there. But then I explain that the Haitian Revolution is what I think the colonized world should look at as the origin of the left, because it was fighting the same forces, but from a colonized person's point of view. But Dr. King in that speech outlines the qualities of the left by basically saying America has these three evils. And it's like the three evils speech, and I refer to it all the time because he calls them, this is from a document I've been working on this for a while, the triplets of racism, poverty, and militarism, right? Or he also says, yeah, we have racism, materialism, or militarism is what he says. And again, I think that's just right there. That is the criteria for being on the left. You extend his analysis. If you're against capitalism, if you're against imperialism and colonialism, and if you're against forms of identity-based domination, those are things like racism, sexism, ableism, homophobia, right? If you're against all of these things, not just one or the other, then I think that is what qualifies you to be on the left. And so when you're talking about these people who claim to be on the left and might have the right rhetoric, when we look at their practice, there tends to be one of these three pillars that they're not, Are they really anti-capitalist, or are they running a corporation or LLC in that kind of form? Are they really anti-imperialist, or are they just for certain police reforms, right? Are they really against identity-based domination, or do they only care about narrow forms of racism? And as soon as you extend it to gender or to ability or sexuality, they don't care no more. And so that's how I think. Because again, I think when you talk about leftists, they clearly, the BLA, clearly, you read their work, you see their practice, fall into a category where they're against all these things simultaneously. And I think liberals, particularly radical liberals, tend to falter on one or the other. They might be anti-capitalism, but we got the class reductionist white left that doesn't talk about race, colonialism, all of those things. So that's just, I think, very important. Use this checklist every single time to identify someone on the left or not.
So we're gonna read the little statement thing or not? Because it's getting late.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Amber. I came late.
No, it's okay. I don't mind going down the cult rabbit hole and defining leftists for people. I don't mind that stuff. I'm just trying to make sure because I got shit going on. You know, I got motion. Sorry.
No, you good. We 10:20. We're gonna go to the end.
Motion party, you can't get in.
Yeah, somebody you can hang
John
in.
Julio, Green Jen, Bad Bitches Love Me. Like, I just love that song so much. You know who also loves that song, Geechee?
Nope.
Never mind.
Our guy. I already know. Our boy. Who will not be named. Right? Am I right? I guess
The
right.
nigga who be reading, yeah.
Exactly. Nigga who be reading. Put simply, Boo Kyle Snaka, I completely agree. And that was why I was talking about the French Assembly.
I don't. I don't.
Okay.
Hierarchy, like, I mean, there's now if you're talking about exploitive hierarchy, yes, but like there's hierarchies even in, I mean, like hell, like you how you gonna get the catalyst group as a what do you call them people? Anarchists. Or the lumpen proletariat or political organizations, or like you come into organizations and there's hierarchies in organizations. You don't let the niggas come in and tell you like we're going this way.
Yeah, I think it's context dependent. I agreed as a general summary. What in the context of the French and the Haitians, again, it's like it's in the context of chattel slavery or in the context of a feudal monarchy. That's what we're talking about. That like the hierarchy was very specific in the French Assembly.
That's why you gotta make it plain, though.
Right. The specific hierarchy was against rule by royalty or by the Pope. Right. That's a feudal monarchy or feudal theocracy. That is one form of hierarchy specific to that context. And in the context of the Haitian Revolution, it was literally against white imperialism and chattel slavery. So if you're against enslavers, that is a very strict form of hierarchy we're talking about. We're not talking about you and your friends, are captaining, I don't know. What is an example of hierarchy where we talk about it being just? You all pilot a ship or something, and the best sailor is the captain or whatever the hell. Like, we're not talking about merit-based hierarchies or hierarchies people consent to. So...
Yeah, no, I get it. No, I understand that. And even, leftist is probably why we should. So I think liberalism and our lack of social investigation and all of the people and things that we support is probably why we get into where a lot of these organizations is leftish. Yes, I remember introducing sociocracy and folks thought we were trying to kill people. But like,
So more of this conversation to happen in the future. Want to respect Amber's time. Get us up out of here. We got one more statement to read. As I said, I'll read Reflection, Geechee Resistance, and then Amber Resurgence. But shout out our native family, 250 years of lives.
Yeah, because I think
500
that their
years
statement would probably be better than anything that other folks can come up with.
Yeah. So this is from the Indian Collective. You can see their statement. We'll post it in the show description. Reflection. The so-called United States is celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 2026. We, the first people of this land, do not have to look far to spot the hypocrisy of celebrating a document that calls our ancestors merciless Indian savages. Today, we witness a country that proclaims freedom while kidnapping our immigrant neighbors without due process, passing laws that encourage harassment and discrimination against our LGBTQ and Two-Spirit relatives, and pulling out every political, legal, and military strategy to suppress any form of dissent against the state. At the start of this nation, the government ratified over 350 treaties with Native nations and then proceeded to break every single one of them. Just as it was clear to our ancestors, it remains clear to us now. This colonial experiment has failed at building anything resembling a true democracy. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy has the oldest continuous participatory democracy in the world, known as the Guyaness-Shagoa, the Great Law of Peace. Many of the structures lauded for creating checks and balances in the United States government are borrowed directly from the Guyaness-Shagoa, but were twisted to serve the interests of the founding fathers, who were responsible for the genocide and enslavement of our Black ancestors. The original laws of this land resulted in a system built to favor white wealthy men by the attempted extermination of indigenous peoples and bison, the stealing of our lands, the kidnapping of our children, and the abduction and enslavement of Black African people. We reject the myth that the engineers of America are deserving of celebration. Instead, we look for the dreams of our true founding mothers, the indigenous women who led our communities before settlers ever set foot here, the matriarchs who have guided our people through over 500 years of genocide, forced removal, and attempts to erase our culture and languages. We honor the dreams of those who stewarded this land into abundance long before the arrival of colonists. We seek shared healing and liberation with our Black kin, whose forced labor then enriched the pocketbooks of the wealthy white men. If America continues to refuse to reckon with its own story, a country built on genocide, land theft, and slavery, it is doomed to repeat itself.
I'm reading Resistance or Geechee.
I am.
Okay.
But it's not gonna repeat itself because we ain't gonna be here. Resistance, 150 years, the Aseti, I don't know how to pronounce none of that, united at the Battle of Greasy Grass, also known as the Battle of the Little Bighorn, on June 25th to 26th, 1876, warriors of the Dakota, Northern Cheyenne, and the Arapaho nations fought and won against the 7th Cavalry after U.S. Army's Lieutenant Colonial Cluster attacked their village. Indigenous matriarchs fought alongside the men to defend their children, communities, and way of life. The victory at Greasy Grass reminds us of our power when we unite together against this genocidal government. Somebody got the and indigenous people, as indigenous people, we have never stopped fighting. Wait, who wrote this again?
The Indian Collective.
Okay.
NDN.
Yeah, we have never stopped fighting to protect our lands, ecosystem, and waters. I'm gonna read that again because I think this is what we be forgetting. Like, if the water, we can't control the water and clean the water, we're gonna die, y'all. The air dirty, the water dirty. As indigenous people, we have never stopped fighting to protect our lands, ecosystem, ecology, and waters, to practice our culture, songs, and languages, and to exercise our treaty rights and sovereignty. So our songs would be different, Amber, if we was free.
You're up, Amber. Resurgence.
I know. I was waiting my turn.
My bad.
Indigenous resistance has always been about more than countering white supremacy. It is about building a future where our culture, knowledge, and lifeways are practiced, respected, and honored. The world needs indigenous knowledge to ensure our grandchildren have safe waters, clean air, and a livable climate. We know we can win because we have been doing just that. We drove a drilling company out of sacred Pay Salah because we united in a prayerful way. Then, not long after, we witnessed a historic moment when all 9 tribes in South Dakota passed resolutions to begin developing legislation to return all federal lands in the Black Hills to tribal ownership. The future is land back and Black reparations. Our liberation is bound together, and the more we have built together across and within movements, the clearer that has become. Today, we carry powerful lessons from the American Indian movement and the Black Panther Party. The necessary transformation of this land is something like giving and the transformation of this land into something life-giving and regenerative will require the courage to reject these imposed systems, to build networks of care so we can boycott and force the U.S. economy to grind to a halt. Today, we encourage all of our relatives to reflect on the reality of the past 250 years and see how the true terrorists on this land have always been the architects, drivers, and beneficiaries of this colonial project, not we, the people. We invite you to commit to fighting for a future where all humans and Mother Earth are respected. Ask yourself, what is my role in this resurgence? How long am I going to let other people decide the future for my children? Are we not warriors? Indigenous peoples have existed long before the U.S. empire was established and will continue to thrive beyond it. That was lit. We're going to put the link to that in the show description because I actually will be using that as well. I've been talking a lot about how this is not America's 250, but Africans to Africans 500 because we've been here for over 500 years. So I'll definitely make a little lengthy post with this link in there and some other stuff that Geechee's gonna send to me. Exactly. I was wondering if it's gonna catch on, Geechee.
I was waiting for Lord muted, so he think he talking, but he really muted.
I sure do. I sure did. I want to say thank y'all for reading that with me. Definitely share the resource far and wide. Appreciate it deeply. Thank you, Pancho, for always helping us out with those pronunciations in the chat. Because yes, I struggle. It is not my tongue, unfortunately. And yeah, I even respect Brother Jigan right here, doing some self-criticism. I can always respect that. So thank you. We are ready to close out for today. Indigenous thought is very dialectical. Absolutely. Thank you for that resource, Poncho, Marxism and Native Americans, edited by Ward Churchill, on which Native scholar activists criticize Marxists who are not fully dialectical. Absolutely important. Y'all, it is time for us to close. You got anything going on this weekend that you want to promote for the people? Anything you want to share, have folks tap into?
What you doing, Geechee?
We got a neighborhood community meeting tomorrow, so we'll be engaged in that. Like I said, I'll be writing.
You're gonna be with the community. I said one thing about it, you're gonna be with the community, and not in a cult-like way.
But yeah, we got that. There's a couple of things, and then I'll be preparing stuff for the summer program. For I just want to be writing. I'm be working. I don't need to tell you all the stuff.
So excited for your summer program! I got my T-shirt.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I see Geechee ain't gonna tell y'all that we met up in person so I can get my book, and because he loves me, but I did see him when I was in Atlanta and got my book that was signed because I was never gonna get it in the mail.
Sorry.
It's okay. It happens.
I'm anti-U.S. government, so I don't use their mail.
You're on MPSM 7, brother. You're gonna be on that list. They're gonna have you with all the check marks. That's what's my bingo card.
They definitely put us all on the list already. Y'all like
got that brother with everything. Amber, what you got going
writing
on?
a little bit, Geechee. I know you mentioned writing.
What'd you say?
I said I know you mentioned writing, Geechee. I'm also gonna be writing a little bit to prepare for my Black August course that I'm gonna teach again this year.
Nice.
But not this weekend. I'm just gonna be doing that over the next few weeks. This weekend, I'll be hanging out with my family. I'll be at Essence Fest, and I'm speaking on a panel about data center organizing at Essence Fest, about how I'm organizing against data centers, doing a teaching. So that'd be cool.
That was on the list, Amber. Anti-data center. You environmental radical.
I know. I said they definitely got me on that whole. But I met like 8 categories. I said, well, shit.
Perfect score. Shout out.
I'll also be in the streets though.
Yeah. And I know we're gonna get a policy breakdown, another Amber's approach soon. So looking forward to that. Oh, Grace,
I can
telling
do
us
it
to
next
go
Friday.
home. You paying us to go home? Oh, Grace.
Well, tell us what you're doing at Port of Miami before we go home, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Triple City.
It's a week of action for Cuba. So shout out them. Shout out Puerto Rico as well. All of our folks trying to fight this prison house of nations. I wanted to shout out Baba Jalil's Jalil Muntakim shared some actions for us. If you are in the area, check them out. National Mobilization Against Genocide, July 4th in Atlanta. And the Declaration of Independence did not include us. What to the slave is the 4th of July, 250 years. So again, National Mobilization Against Genocide in Atlanta. If you are there, tap in. What else did I have? I think that's it. Check out what we have on the platforms. Speaking of data centers, Black Myths covered that earlier this week. Check out Saturdays with Renee. I think they're having a special with Laura Shihai and Jared from Millennials Are Killing Capitalism. Check out Darker Than Blue where Jackie will be joined by Kim Miller this afternoon. And as always, tap in with all the amazing programming we have here on the network. We appreciate y'all. Have a safe weekend, whatever you do. Do not drink and drive.
Please don't.
Please don't. Careful indoors if they shoot in your neighborhood for whatever reason. People love an excuse to shoot in the air. So everybody be safe. We appreciate y'all. As Chairman Fred Hampton used to say, and as we say, peace only if you're willing to fight for it. We'll catch you next time.
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.